So, you finally decided to grace us with your presence. It belonged to Victoria, my sister. She was perched on a velvet armchair, a sneer twisting her perfectly painted lips. I had been home for less than 5 minutes, 5 years away, studying in Paris, and this was my welcome. Not a hug, not a smile, just acid. I stood there, my suitcase handle still slick in my palm, the chill of the old stone manor seeping into my bones. Across the room, our grandfather, Arthur Hayes, the patriarch of this dynasty and the puppeteer of all our lives, sat enthroned in his usual wingback chair. He didn't look up from the financial reports in his lap, but his silence was louder than any shout. He acknowledged my return with a curt nod. "You're back. Sit." And my mother, my sweet broken mother Helen. She sat on a small ottoman, almost out of sight, her head bowed. She had wept when she saw me at the airport, her arms wrapped around me like I was a ghost she had summoned back to life. "My girl," she'd whispered, her tears warm on my neck. "You're finally home. I've missed you so much." I'd held her tight, breathing in the familiar scent of lavender and quiet sorrow. "I missed you too, Mom, so much." But now, under this roof, under his gaze, she was a shadow again. I took a deep breath, forcing a polite smile. "Hello, Grandfather." "Victoria." I lowered myself onto the edge of a sofa, the leather cold against my legs. Victoria's sneer deepened. "Did you have a nice little holiday? 5 years. This family fed you, clothed you, paid a fortune for your fancy French education, and now you finally drag yourself back." A familiar exhaustion washed over me. This was the game we always played. I was studying, Victoria. You know that. I came home as soon as I graduated. "Studying?" She laughed, a short, ugly sound. "Or was it partying, flitting around Europe while the rest of us were here? Do you have any idea how hard I've worked? The hours I've put in at the company, holding everything together? Then maybe you should blame yourself for not studying harder back in the day," I retorted, the words sharper than I intended. "Why are you taking it out on me? The house has so much work, and all you can think about is your precious education. Or have you decided you don't want your inheritance anymore?" "Of course I want it," I said, my voice steady. "But I believe education is essential. The world is changing, Victoria. If we don't learn, adapt, and innovate, Hayes Consolidated will be left in the dust. My degree isn't just for me. It's for the future of this family's business." "Oh, listen to her," she spat, her eyes flashing. "Are you saying I'm uneducated? That I can't handle the company? That I'm not good enough?" "That's not what I said." "Enough." Grandfather's voice boomed, and the room fell silent. He finally looked up, his gaze like chips of ice. "You've been in the same room for 5 minutes, and you're already at each other's throats." Victoria bristled, but she knew better than to argue with him. "I'm just telling the truth, Grandfather. For 5 years, I've been here, by your side, managing this company. You know that. Her. Who knows what she was really doing over there? How can we possibly know?" I said. "Enough," he repeated, his tone final. He turned his cold eyes on me. "Now, let's get to the real reason I called you home, Brooklyn." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "You won't be coming to work at the main office." I blinked, confused. I don't understand. If I'm not working at the company, what will I be doing?" A cruel, triumphant smile spread across Victoria's face before Grandfather even spoke. "You'll be staying home," he said, his voice flat and devoid of any emotion, "to prepare for your wedding." The words hit me like a physical blow. Wedding? What wedding? I've been so focused on my studies, on my career. A relationship was the last thing on my mind. I didn't even have a boyfriend. Get married? I stammered, my heart beginning to hammer against my ribs. Grandfather, I just got back. I'm not dating anyone. How can I possibly get married? Victoria leaned forward, savoring the moment. Oh, don't you worry your pretty little head about that. Grandfather has already found the perfect match for you. My head whipped from my sister to my grandfather, a dizzying sense of disbelief washing over me. This had to be a joke, a sick, twisted joke. I looked to my mother for help, for some sign that this wasn't real, but she just stared at the floor, her silence a confession. What? What is she talking about? I asked, my voice trembling. Tell me what's going on. Do you remember Mr. Thorne? Victoria said, her voice dripping with condescending sweetness. Arthur Thorne. Grandfather made a pact with him years ago, a strategic alliance, to merge our families by marrying you off to his grandson. Now that your education is complete, the Thorne family has made their intentions known. So, you'll stay home and prepare to be a good little wife. It's a brilliant match, you know. The Thornes are the wealthiest family in this entire region, and they're our most important business partner. The room started to spin. This couldn't be happening. I spent 5 years earning a master's degree, graduating with honors, all to come home and be sold off like property. To a man I'd never even met? No, I said, the word barely a whisper at first, then gaining strength. No, I won't do it. I just graduated. Let me work for a few years. Let me prove myself. Besides, I don't even know this man. How can I marry someone I don't love? Someone I don't even know? Victoria's eyes narrowed into slits. You'll meet him, and you'll learn to know him. I hear he's handsome, from a good family. You should be grateful. You'll regret it if you say no. I won't marry him, and I won't regret it. Grandfather's voice was dangerously low. This is not a discussion. It is a decision. This Sunday, Mr. Thorne is bringing his grandson here to finalize the arrangement. Do not embarrass me. He stood up, the audience over, and walked towards his study without another word. Victoria shot me a look of pure hatred. He's made up his mind. Don't you dare defy him. You'll pay for it if you do. She stood and glided out of the room, leaving me alone with my silent, shattered mother. I turned to her, my last hope. Is that why you kept rushing me to come home? You knew he was planning this all along, didn't you? And you agreed with him. Finally, she looked up, her eyes filled with a familiar, weary pain. She sighed, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of decades of submission. Just listen to him, Brooklyn. If you defy him, he'll cut you out of the will. He'll take away your inheritance. Think about it, darling. $200 million. Just accept it. I stared at her, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. I will never accept it. I will not marry a man I don't love. I will not live my life according to grandfather's rules. You've lived under his thumb your whole life, Mom. Aren't you tired? Brooklyn, I just want what's best for you. This isn't what's best for me. Living every day, having to watch his every mood, tiptoeing around his anger. What kind of life is that? I couldn't look at her anymore. I grabbed my suitcase and dragged it up the grand staircase to my old room, her worried eyes following me the whole way. My name is Brooklyn Hayes. I'm 25 years old, and I've just walked back into the gilded cage I spent 5 years trying to escape. My grandfather, Arthur Hayes, is the chairman of Hayes Consolidated, a corporate empire. And perhaps you're wondering why my own sister hates me so much. It's simple, really. I am the daughter of the second wife. She is the daughter of the first. We are half-sisters, bound by a father we both lost too soon. When my father was alive, he was the buffer, the peacekeeper. He treated us equally, and Victoria's cruelty was kept in check. But he's gone now, and grandfather always favored her. He and Victoria's mother, a sharp, educated woman who holds a director position at the company, always looked down on my mom. My mother, Helen, was a homemaker. She didn't have a fancy degree. She was gentle and quiet, and in their world, that made her weak, contemptible. After my father died, the condescension became open disdain. My mother's voice carried no weight in this house. Watching them belittle her, watching her shrink under their judgment year after year. That's what drove me. It's why I studied so hard. I was determined to arm myself with education, with knowledge, so no one could ever dismiss me the way they dismissed her. I wanted to be the master of my own life, not a pawn in someone else's game. And I had succeeded. I had the degree, the honors, the proof that I was more than just the daughter of the second wife. But now, it seems it was all for nothing. I was right back where I started, with my future being dictated by a man who saw me as nothing more than a bargaining chip. Later, my mother crept into my room. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, the same ceiling I'd stared at for years while dreaming of escape. "Brooklyn," she said softly, sitting on the edge of the mattress. "This Sunday, Mr. Thorne and his grandson are coming. Please, for my sake, just meet him." "I won't meet him," I sighed. "I told you, Mom, I'm not getting married. You can't disobey your grandfather. He'll be furious. Let him be. I don't care what he thinks. Brooklyn, just meet him first, then decide. What if? What if you like him?" "Mom, that's not how it works. A happy marriage is built on love, on time, on understanding each other. You don't just meet someone once and suddenly feel something. I want to find my own husband. I don't want a life that's been arranged for me." I refused, but she persisted. For hours, she pleaded, she reasoned, she begged. Her voice was so full of fear and desperation that, in the end, just to make her stop, just to get a moment of peace, I gave in. I agreed to meet him. Sunday arrived like a death sentence. Downstairs, I could hear the murmur of voices, grandfather, Victoria, and our guests. But I stayed in my room, lying on my bed, until my mother's frantic voice came through the door. "Brooklyn, Brooklyn, get down here now. They've arrived." With a heavy sigh, I dragged myself downstairs, and the moment I saw him, my heart sank to the floor. Caleb Thorne. I suppose, in some corner of my mind, I'd held onto a sliver of hope that he might be normal. Not a movie star, but at least pleasant to look at. He was not. He was short, overweight, with greasy, shoulder-length hair. His face was a landscape of acne scars, dark and uneven. To put it bluntly, he was repulsive. Any hope I had, any resolve to be polite, evaporated. I could barely force a smile. "Hello, Mr. Thorne," I managed, my voice tight. The old man beamed. "Brooklyn, my dear, you've grown into such a beautiful young woman. Come, sit. Let me introduce you." I sat, feeling like a prize pig at a county fair. "This is my grandson, Caleb," he announced proudly. "You two should get to know each other." In stark contrast to my horror, Caleb's eyes were devouring me. He was clearly pleased, more than pleased. He stared at me without blinking, a hungry look on his face that made my skin crawl. Within minutes, he and the two grandfathers were deep in conversation, planning the wedding as if my consent was a foregone conclusion. I sat there, trapped in a nightmare, thinking, I would rather die than marry this man. After they finally left, I turned to my grandfather. "I won't marry him. He's awful." Arthur Hayes just sighed. "Looks aren't everything, Brooklyn. What matters is his character. Caleb is a good man and a brilliant businessman. I've worked with him. I know. Victoria's mother, who had been silent until now, chimed in. She's right. Don't be so arrogant. Marrying into the Thorne family is a blessing. A blessing? I have no feelings for him. How can I marry him? Victoria just rolled her eyes. It's already been decided. If you don't marry Caleb Thorne, you'll never marry anyone. Get over yourself. The entire family ganged up on me, a chorus of criticism and commands. I looked to my mother, my one and only potential ally, but she was terrified of grandfather. In that moment, I understood with chilling clarity. No one was coming to save me. I had to save myself. I couldn't fight all of them, not out in the open. So I retreated to my room and called the only person in the world I could trust, my best friend. From my time in Paris, Chloe. Her voice was a lifeline. Brooklyn, hey, what's up? I poured out the whole sordid story, my voice cracking. Oh my God, she breathed when I finished. What century is your grandfather living in? And this Caleb guy sounds like a troll. You can't marry him, Brooke. You just can't. I know. But they're trapping me, Chloe. He's making me. I look at that guy and I want to throw up. I think I'm going to die. Okay, don't panic, she said, her voice turning practical. What are you going to do? I took a deep breath. I have a plan. The next day, I called Caleb Thorne. Grandfather had, of course, given him my number, and he'd been bombarding me with texts and calls ever since. I told him I wanted to meet, to talk. He was ecstatic. 10 minutes later, his car was at the gate. We sat in a sterile, overpriced coffee shop. Caleb, I began, getting straight to the point. I need to be honest with you. I have no feelings for you, and I have no intention of getting married right now. Please, talk to your grandfather. Tell him to call this off. He just smiled. A smug, unpleasant thing. He hadn't expected this to be easy. No can do. Our families have already agreed. Besides, his eyes roamed over me in that disgusting way again. I like you, Brooklyn. A lot. Why would I want to end things? Because I don't like you. I feel nothing for you. I will not marry you. His smile vanished, replaced by a cold, domineering glare. The mask had slipped. Listen to me, Brooklyn. If you try to fight this, I won't let you off easy. Just be a good girl and do as you're told. Are you threatening me? I shot back, my anger overriding my fear. You're just as ugly on the inside as you are on the outside. Let me make this perfectly clear. I will never, ever marry you. I would rather die than marry a man like you. You don't get to decide, he hissed. Your grandfather promised you to me. Don't defy him. If you do, no one can save you. I'll save myself, I said, standing up. Stay away from me. I walked out, his furious gaze burning into my back. I knew what he would do. He would go straight to his grandfather, and they would accelerate their plans. I was running out of time. When I got back to the house, I found my mother in the kitchen. It was her sanctuary and her prison, a vast, sterile space of stainless steel and polished marble where she'd spent the last few decades of her life. The air smelled of lemon cleaner and unspoken regrets. For a house with a full staff, she was the only one who ever seemed to be cooking or cleaning, a never-ending penance for a crime she didn't commit. I walked in and leaned against the doorframe, watching her meticulously wipe down a counter that was already spotless. Mom, she didn't look up. You met with him. It wasn't a question. I did. I told him I wouldn't marry him. She finally stopped, her hand freezing mid-swipe. Brooklyn, what have you done? Your grandfather and Mr. Thorne have already discussed everything. I don't care what they've discussed. I won't marry him. He's arrogant. he's domineering, and taking him would be a life sentence. A life sentence just like yours. Don't say that, she whispered, her voice tight with pain. Don't make this so difficult. It's already difficult, don't you see? He's a monster. Is that the life you want for me? Trapped in a kitchen, serving a man I despise, being looked down on by his entire family. Don't make this sound so much worse than it is. It is that much worse. Mom, you've suffered your whole life. You, of all people, should understand. You should be on my side. I am on your side. That's why I want you to listen to your grandfather. The inheritance. It's $200 million, Brooklyn, not 200,000. You have to think about your future. A cold, humorless laugh escaped my lips. I pushed off the doorframe and walked towards her. My future? Mom, do you really honestly believe Grandfather will just hand over $200 million to me? A girl he barely tolerates, who has done nothing for his precious company yet. Wake up. What? What are you saying? You've been a glorified servant in this house for decades. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing. They don't respect you. They don't value you. So why do you think they'll value me? Do you know why Grandfather is so desperate for this marriage to happen? It's not about my happiness. It's not about family ties. I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. It's because he's getting a massive parcel of land from the Thorns, the very land he's building the new factory on. This whole thing, this marriage, it's a business transaction, Mom. I'm the price. It's all about profit. Do you understand? She stared at me, her face pale, the words slowly sinking in. But then, the fear returned to her eyes, eclipsing the brief flicker of understanding. But, even so, marrying Caleb is a good thing. The families know each other. They're business partners. They'll treat you well. Treat me well, by chaining me to a stove and locking me away from the world. Is that what you call treating me well? I already told you, I will never marry him. If you don't love yourself, Mom, that's one thing. But you have to love me. Please. Don't force me into this. I begged her, pleaded with her. My last shred of hope resting on the woman who gave me life. But she was a prisoner of this house, a slave to Grandfather's will. She was afraid of him, afraid of Victoria's mother, afraid of Victoria herself, and her fear was stronger than her love for me. In that moment, I knew I was utterly alone. I had to save myself. My plan began to form, a desperate, frantic blueprint for escape. But it was as if Grandfather could read my mind. For the next few days, I was forbidden from leaving the house. He tasked my mother with watching my every move, turning her into my reluctant jailer. The wedding date was approaching, a black spot on the horizon, and he wasn't taking any chances. I felt less like a granddaughter and more like a hostage. The way he looked at me, the way he spoke only to Victoria, is less than #0. 3 is greater. Then it solidified my resolve. This was not my family. This was not my home. My chance came on a night when the sky itself seemed to be raging on my behalf. A ferocious storm rolled in, shaking the old manor to its foundations. Thunder cracked like a whip, and rain lashed against the windows. Under the cover of the chaos, I made my move. I climbed out my bedroom window and onto the thick ivy covering the ancient stone walls. My heart hammered against my ribs with every handhold. As I scrambled over the top of the perimeter wall, my phone, slick with rain, slipped from my pocket. I watched in horror as it tumbled through the air, shattering on the flagstones below. No phone, no way to call a taxi, no way to contact Chloe. I landed on the other side, soaked and shivering, and started to walk. The wind tore at my clothes, and the rain was a relentless, icy torrent. I just kept moving, heading towards the main road, hoping for a passing car, a sign of life. After what felt like an eternity, I saw it. A single car parked on the shoulder of a deserted stretch of road. Its interior light a faint, ghostly beacon in the deluge. Relief washed over me. Someone's here. I can ask for a ride. I ran towards it, my shoes splashing through deep puddles, and knocked on the driver's side window. The glass slid down with a quiet hum, and I froze. The man inside was slumped against the seat. His shirt was dark with blood. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. He looked up at me, his eyes clouded with pain. "Please," he rasped, his voice weak. He unlocked the doors. "Help me." I fumbled with the handle and slid into the passenger seat. "You're hurt. We need to get you to a hospital." "No," he said, his voice firm despite the pain. "No hospital. Please. Can you drive? I need you to find a motel. Somewhere. Quiet. Somewhere safe. But your wound. It looks serious. You could die." "I won't. Please. Just get me to a motel. I'm being hunted. The hospital is the first place they'll look." My own escape suddenly felt trivial. This man was in real trouble. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to not get involved. But I couldn't leave him here to die. I took a deep breath, my fate now intertwined with this wounded stranger. "Okay," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Okay, I'll help you." I knew a place. A small, discreet inn, tucked away in a maze of back alleys. The kind of place you go to, disappear. A friend of mine had stayed there once. I'd visited a few times and knew the owner, a kind old woman who minded her own business. It was perfect. I moved him gently into the passenger seat, then slid behind the wheel. I draped my own wet jacket over his torso, a flimsy attempt to hide the bloodstain. The landlady would be less likely to ask questions that way. When we arrived, the sky was just beginning to lighten from black to a bruised purple. I managed to get a room, supporting him as we walked inside, trying to make it look like he was just drunk. Once the door was closed, I helped him to the bed. I changed into the one dry set of clothes I'd managed to stuff in my small backpack, then slipped back out into the rain-washed morning. I found a 24-hour pharmacy and bought bandages, antiseptic, painkillers, anything I thought might help. I also picked up some food and water. When I got back, he had just finished washing up in the small bathroom. He was shirtless, and I could see the wound properly now. It was a knife wound, just below his ribs. It looked nasty, but thankfully, it wasn't as deep as I had feared. The bleeding had mostly stopped. Wordlessly, I began to clean and dress the injury. He sat perfectly still, his eyes watching my every move. When I was done, I handed him the bag of food. "Here, eat this, then take these." "Thank you," he said, his voice stronger now. "It's okay. You should be safe here for a few days. Rest up." I turned to leave. "I should go." "Wait," he said. "Why are you leaving so soon? I thought you were running from something too." Just then, his phone, which had been lying on the nightstand, buzzed to life. He answered it. "Yeah." "They got him? The police?" A wave of relief washed over his face. "Okay, I'm safe. Good." He hung up and looked at me. "My brother. He said the police caught the man who was after me. I'm safe now. I don't have to hide anymore." "That's great," I said, genuinely happy for him. "Congratulations." He was about to ask my name. I could see it in his eyes. But then there was a knock at the door. Through the peephole, I saw two well-dressed, imposing-looking men. His family, or his bodyguards. The sight sent a jolt of panic through me. If they saw me, if they asked questions, it could lead my family right to me. I had to disappear, While he was focused on the door, I slipped out the back window of the small room, which thankfully opened onto a deserted alleyway. By the time he turned around to introduce me, I was gone. He wanted to thank me, to ask my name, to find out how he could repay me, but the girl who had saved him had vanished into the morning mist, leaving behind only a half-eaten breakfast and the lingering scent of rain. My only sanctuary was Chloe. I made my way to her apartment, a small, bright space that felt a world away from the oppressive grandeur of my grandfather's manor. She lived alone, and when she opened the door and saw me standing there, soaked and exhausted, she pulled me into a fierce hug without a word. "Brooklyn," she said, her voice filled with worry as she steered me inside. "Are you okay? You look like you've been through a war." "I'm not okay," I admitted, my voice trembling, "but I'm free. That's all that matters. Come on, get out of those wet clothes." She drew a hot bath for me, and as I soaked, I felt the tension of the last few days begin to melt away. When I emerged, wrapped in a fluffy robe, she had a plate of food waiting for me. "From now on, you're staying with me," she declared, setting a steaming mug of tea on the table. "It's perfectly safe here. Your family will never find you." I felt a wave of gratitude so strong it brought tears to my eyes. I hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Chloe. Thank you for everything. I'll just stay for a month or so until I can get a job and find my own place." She swatted my arm playfully. "Don't be ridiculous. Why would you rent a place when you can live here with me? For free. Think of all the money you'll save." "But what about your boyfriend? I thought you two were living together." Her smile faltered for a second. "We broke up. He cheated. So, it's just me now." "Oh, Chloe, I'm so sorry." "Don't be," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "Welcome to the single life. It's better this way. No drama, no lies. Now, eat up. You look exhausted." I was. After I ate, I fell into her guest bed and slept for 12 solid hours. When I woke, Chloe had already been to the store. She'd bought me toiletries, a change of clothes, everything I might need. I found her fussing over me, placing a cool hand on my forehead. "Oh my God, you're burning up," she said, her brow furrowed with concern. "You have a fever." A wave of chills washed over me. "I'm so cold, Chloe." "You've got a bad chill. It must have been from the rain last night. Here, I'll get you some medicine." My head felt like it was filled with lead. "How did you know to come and get me?" I mumbled, my thoughts fuzzy. "You called me, remember?" "Oh, right," I said, forgetting in my feverish haze that my phone was in pieces miles away. "I must have dropped it somewhere." "Well, we'll get you a new one later," she said gently. "Right now, you need to rest. You're lucky you have me. I'm a better mother to you than your own mother." I managed a weak smile. "Then can I call you Mom?" She laughed, the sound warm and comforting. "Go for it. Now, Mommy Chloe says you need to take your medicine and get some sleep." The fever clung to me for a week. I was too sick to even think about my next steps. Chloe nursed me back to health, with a patience and kindness I hadn't experienced in years. When I was finally strong enough to get out of bed, the reality of my situation hit me. I needed a job, but I had no resume, no references, no official documents. I'd fled with nothing but the clothes on my back and a few items in a backpack. "I went to a few places today," I told her, discouraged. "They all require a full background check, a resume, everything I don't have. If I go back to the manor to get my things, Grandfather will lock me up and throw away the key. He'll force me to marry that troll." Chloe tapped her chin, thinking. Then her eyes lit up. "Wait a minute. My uncle's company. He's looking for a new personal assistant." Hope surged through me. "Really? Do you think he'd hire me? He's my uncle. I can vouch for you. You won't need all the official paperwork right away. It's perfect. She was about to grab her phone. Then she stopped, a frown creasing her forehead. Oh, shoot. I just remembered. He's only hiring male assistants. My shoulders slumped. Why? What's wrong with a female assistant? Long story. His last one was a woman. She not only embezzled a ton of money from him, but she also cheated on him. It was a messy public affair. He's been wary of hiring women ever since. The flicker of hope died. I was so close. I sat on the edge of the sofa, my head in my hands. What am I going to do? I'm never going to find a job. I'm going to be stuck, Chloe. You're not stuck, she said firmly. I'll support you. You can stay here as long as you need. I can't let you do that. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Suddenly, a crazy idea sparked in Chloe's eyes. She looked me up and down, a slow smile spreading across her face. Brooklyn, what if you pretended to be a man? I stared at her. What? Think about it. You're tall, you have a strong jawline, and your name, Brooklyn. It can be a man's name. We'll get you a short wig, a chest binder, some men's clothes. You could totally pull it off. During the day, you're a man working at my uncle's company. At night, you come home, and you're my beautiful best friend again. What do you think? It was insane. It was risky. It was also brilliant. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. If I was disguised as a man, my family would have a much harder time finding me. It was the perfect cover. It's a great idea, I said, a slow grin spreading across my face. It'll be safer for me this way. But what if your uncle finds out? He won't, she said with a wave of her hand. Trust me. Come on, let's go shopping. An hour later, I was transformed. With a stylish, short brown wig, my chest flattened by a binder, and wearing a crisp men's shirt and trousers, I looked convincing. Chloe added a pair of thick-framed glasses, and the transformation was complete. I looked like a handsome, scholarly young man who had just graduated from college. Chloe circled me, her eyes wide with amazement. Wow. Just wow. You look incredible, Brooklyn. The glasses are a perfect touch. You look so intellectual and so handsome. Honestly, if I didn't know you, I would totally think you were a guy. I did a little spin. Really? You think I can pull this off? No one at work will suspect anything. No way, she said, shaking her head. I'm afraid you'll be breaking hearts all over the office. The girls are going to go crazy for you. Just try not to get your own heart broken, okay? Not a chance, I said, winking. How about I find a cute girlfriend instead? Hey, now, she said, wagging a finger at me. Focus on work first. You haven't even been hired yet. Now come on, let's go meet your new boss. We walked into the sleek, modern offices of Phoenix Enterprises. Chloe led me to the top floor, to a large corner office with a panoramic view of the city. Uncle Maximus, she chirped, walking in without knocking. I found you the perfect assistant. The man behind the desk looked up, and my world tilted on its axis. It was him, the man from the side of the road, the man whose life I had saved, the man I had vanished on. He was Chloe's uncle, and my new boss. The universe, it seemed, had a very twisted sense of humor. He didn't recognize me. Of course, he didn't. He stared at the short-haired, glasses-wearing young man standing next to his niece, a flicker of something. Confusion? In his eyes. He looked me over, his gaze sharp and appraising. Chloe, can I have a word with you? Alone. He gestured for me to wait outside. I stepped out of the office, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I could hear their muffled voices through the glass. "He looks a little effeminate, don't you think, Chloe?" I heard him say. "Find someone else." "What? No. He's a real man, I swear. Uncle, please, just give him a chance. I'm begging you." "Where's his resume?" He's in the process of getting it together. Just hire him first, and he'll provide it later." "Chloe, I need to see a resume. I need to conduct a proper interview. I can't just hire someone off the street." His voice was firm, and my hopes began to plummet. But Chloe was nothing if not persistent. She played her trump card. "Uncle Maximus, please, hire him. He's my boyfriend." There was a long pause. "He's your what?" "My boyfriend," she repeated, her voice full of fake sincerity. "We're getting married at the end of the year. I just want to find a good job for him, something stable, so my parents will approve of our marriage. Please, Uncle." For me, I could hear him sigh, a sound of weary resignation. "All right, but he's on a 1-month probation. If he can't do the job, he's out. I don't care if he's your fiancé." Thank you, Uncle. You won't regret it. My Brooklyn is not only handsome, but he's also incredibly talented." A moment later, the door opened and Chloe beamed at me. "Success. You start tomorrow." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. I was in. "But," she whispered, pulling me aside as we walked to the elevator. "I had to tell him you're my boyfriend. So, if he asks, just go with it, okay?" I stared at her, my jaw dropping. "Are you serious? So now I'm not just your uncle's employee. I'm also his future nephew-in-law." "Exactly," she said, grinning. "It's perfect. No one will dare to bully the boss's nephew-in-law, and I'll visit you at the office all the time. Everyone will believe it. It's foolproof." "This is insane," I muttered. But I had to admit, she had a point. "Come on, darling," she said, linking her arm through mine. "Let's go celebrate your new job. Princess Chloe is buying." It was official. I had a job. I had a new identity. And I was about to work for the man whose life I had saved. A man who had no idea who I really was. What could possibly go wrong? Chloe and I went to our favorite bubble tea shop to celebrate. As we sat there, sipping our drinks, the strangeness of my situation really began to sink in. The man whose blood I had washed from his skin was now my boss. The man who was supposedly my future uncle-in-law. It was a coincidence so wild it felt like something out of a movie. "Chloe," I said, swirling the tapioca pearls in my cup. "A week ago. Was your uncle injured?" She looked up, surprised. "How did you know about that? It's supposed to be a family secret. Just answer me first." "Well, yeah, he was," she said, lowering her voice. "It's a long story. Basically, he inherited the majority of my maternal grandfather's company because he's the one who's actually capable of running it. My other uncle, the eldest, is a mess. He has a drug problem, and he's never been responsible for anything in his life. So, when my grandfather left the company to Maximus, my eldest uncle got jealous and hired someone to, take him out. Luckily, Maximus managed to get away. My uncle is in jail now. Maximus told us not to talk about it with anyone. So, keep it to yourself, okay?" "I will," I promised. "But, you have a young uncle." "Yeah, my grandmother had him late in life. My mom and my other uncle are much older. Maximus is only 30, and single," she added with a wiggle of her eyebrows. "You want me to set you two up?" I flicked a tapioca pearl at her. "Stop being ridiculous. I'm a devout follower of singlehood for the next 5 years at least." "Really? 5 years? You'll be 30. Isn't that a little late to be thinking about marriage? 30 isn't old. It's the perfect age. You're financially stable. You're mature. It makes sense, don't you think? You have a point, she conceded. But love doesn't follow a timeline, Brooklyn. When it hits you, it hits you. Well, then I'll just have to dodge it for the next 5 years. We'll see about that, she said with a smirk. I'm holding you to it. The day you get a boyfriend, you're in big trouble with me. Don't worry, I said, laughing. It's not going to happen. The next morning, I began my new life. I strapped on the chest binder, slipped into my male persona with the wig and glasses, and walked into Phoenix Enterprises. I made a point to arrive early on my first day. As I stepped into the elevator, I found myself surrounded by a group of women from the office. Their eyes lit up the moment they saw me. "Oh, hello," one of them purred. "You must be new here." I smiled politely. "Hi, I'm Brooklyn, Mr. Maximus's new assistant." A collective little sigh seemed to go through the group. "It's nice to meet you, Brooklyn," said a woman with a friendly smile. "I'm Violet, from HR. I'm 27. "And I'm Lily," said another, batting her eyelashes. "I'm 24. "I'm Ava," a third one chimed in, stepping a little closer. "I'm 23, and I don't have a boyfriend." She held out her hand for me to shake. Violet playfully smacked it away. "Ava, behave yourself. He just got here." Ava was unfazed. "What? You don't want to come to my wedding?" She turned her full attention back to me. "So, Brooklyn, are you single?" Before I could answer, the elevator doors opened and more people flooded in, saving me from the impromptu interrogation. I shuffled to the back, feeling the weight of their curious stares. This is going to be interesting, I thought to myself. I'm a more convincing man than I thought. Maybe I should move to Thailand and make it official. I had to mentally shake myself. Get a grip, Brooklyn. You're a woman. Stop having such ridiculous thoughts. I walked into Maximus's office. "Good morning, sir. I'm Brooklyn, your new assistant. I look forward to working with you." He nodded, not looking up from his computer. "Your desk is over there. Let me know if you need anything from HR." "Everything is fine, sir." "Good. Get ready. We have a client meeting in an hour." I sat at my new desk, trying to focus on the files in front of me, but I couldn't help but sneak glances at him. He was even more handsome when he wasn't bleeding and half-conscious. He had a cold, commanding presence that was undeniably attractive. He was so engrossed in his work that I found myself staring, lost in thought. Suddenly, he looked up, and our eyes met. I jumped, quickly looking away, my cheeks flushing. "Brooklyn," he said, his voice startling me. "Do you have a sister?" "No," I replied, my heart skipping a beat. "I have a half-sister. Can I see a picture of her?" "Why?" I asked, my blood running cold. He looked at me intently. "Last week, when I was injured, a young woman helped me. She looked a lot like you, but she was a woman, and you're a man." I forced a laugh, trying to keep my voice steady. "She looks that much like me?" "Yes, the resemblance is uncanny. For a moment, when I first saw you, I thought you were her." "Are you sure you're not her?" This was it. The moment of truth. I had to lie. "Sir, I have no idea who you're talking about. I'm a man. But if you want to see a picture of my sister, I can show you." I quickly pulled up Victoria's Facebook profile on my temporary phone and showed him. He looked at the picture, a frown creasing his forehead. "No, that's not her," he sighed, a wave of disappointment washing over his features. "Never mind. Get back to work. I'll figure out a way to find her." I let out a silent breath of relief and turned back to my computer. That was too close. I had to be more careful. I threw myself into my work, determined to prove that Chloe's boyfriend was the best assistant he'd ever had. Meanwhile, back at the manor, my escape had thrown the entire household into chaos. I could only imagine the scene, but I knew it wouldn't be pretty. My mother would be on her knees, bearing the full brunt of my grandfather's fury. "You useless, incompetent woman." I could almost hear Victoria's mother, her voice like a screeching hawk, directed at my own. "Isn't it true that a child's failings are the mother's fault? You're so weak you couldn't even control your own daughter. Why did you even bother giving birth to her? Tell us, where is she?" My mother, sobbing, would be pleading ignorance. "I don't know. I've looked everywhere, but I can't find her." Victoria would be there, of course, fanning the flames. "She's obviously run away. What do you expect? It's all your fault, Helen. You never taught her any discipline. Like mother, like daughter." My grandfather's voice, a low rumble of thunder, would cut through the noise. "Victoria, have you checked with her friends?" "I've called all of them, grandfather. No one has seen her." "Then what are we going to tell the Thorns?" He would roar. "Caleb is expecting an answer. This is a complete humiliation." Victoria's mother would seize the opportunity to twist the knife. "This is what happens when you trust them. Look at your precious Brooklyn now. After all these years, only my daughter and I have ever truly been loyal to you. She's the only one who is truly your granddaughter. Don't expect anything from Brooklyn or her mother." And that's when my mother, pushed to her breaking point, would finally find her voice. "For my sake, Victoria," she'd say, her voice shaking but firm. "If you're such a good and loyal granddaughter, then you marry Caleb Thorne. That would be the right thing to do, wouldn't it?" The suggestion would hit Victoria like a slap in the face. "Shut your mouth. Who do you think you are, telling me what to do? You want me to marry that fat, ugly pig? You must be dreaming. He's a perfect match for your daughter, not me. Because he's fat and ugly, you pushed him on to Brooklyn, didn't you?" My mother would press on, a newfound courage in her voice. "From the beginning, Caleb was interested in you, but you found a way to push him away, to offer my daughter in your place. Don't think I don't know. Shut up. Just shut up." This small act of defiance would change everything for my mother. She had finally stood up for me, for herself. After that confrontation, she would retreat to her room, her heart heavy with worry for me, but also with a sliver of pride. For days, she wouldn't sleep, clutching one of my old sweaters, praying I was safe, and she would be filled with regret. If only she had listened to me from the start. If she could turn back time, she would never have forced me. She would have helped me escape. Her newfound spine, however, did not sit well with the rest of the household. The next day, Victoria's mother would find her in the kitchen. "Helen, what are you doing in here? Go to the market. Victoria is having friends over tonight." My mother, for the first time in years, would not move. "Are you deaf?" the other woman would screech. "I told you to go to the market. We have guests tonight. You useless woman. Is shopping and cooking too much for you to handle?" And my mother, with a quiet, steely calm, would look her in the eye and say, "Brooklyn was right. You all treat me like a servant. You have no respect for me. Just because I'm the second wife, just because I don't have a degree, you think you can walk all over me." The other woman would be stunned into silence. My mother would continue, her voice gaining strength. "If you don't trust me to do the shopping, why don't you go yourself? You dare to talk back to me? Are you tired of living in this house?" "Yes," my mother would reply, a bitter smile on her lips. "I am. If you want to throw me out, go ahead. I'm sick of this place. For years, I have served you. I have served this entire family. And what do I get in return? Nothing. No one here respects me. So today, I'm not cooking. You can do it yourself." She would untie her apron, drop it on the counter, and walk out of the kitchen, leaving Victoria's mother sputtering in a state of apoplectic shock. This was a rebellion she had never anticipated. For the first time, she was forced to plead, to beg my mother to cook for her daughter's guests. And my mother, seeing her advantage, would agree, but on her own terms. She was no longer a doormat. She was a woman who had found her voice. That night, after the guests had left, after she had cleaned the last dish, my mother's phone would ring. It was me. I had a new phone, a new number. Mom? Brooklyn. Oh, my baby, where are you? Are you okay? I'm fine, Mom. I'm safe. I'm sorry I left without telling you. No, don't be sorry. I'm the one who should be sorry. I never should have tried to force you. Please, forgive me. There's nothing to forgive, Mom. I know you were just scared. R is less than #0. 3# is greater than our grandfather and the others giving you a hard time. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Just take care of yourself, okay? Mom, are you mad that I ran away? No, sweetheart. I'm not mad. You were right. You have to live your own life. Don't end up like me. Just be safe. I will, Mom. You take care of yourself too. Once I get a job and save some money, I'll come back for you. I'll get you out of there. I'll be waiting, my love. I'll be waiting. Hanging up the phone, I felt a tear slide down my cheek. I missed her, but I also felt a new surge of determination. I would work hard. I would save every penny. And one day, I would go back and rescue my mother from that prison of a house filled with nothing but injustice and her own silent tears. My disguise at work was, ironically, a little too effective. The persona of Brooklyn, the handsome, intellectual young man, was a hit with the female staff, particularly with Ava, the girl from the elevator. She had taken it upon herself to become my official office admirer. Every morning, she would bring me a coffee. She sent me flirtatious texts throughout the day. I tried to let her down gently, to create some distance, but she was relentless. It was exhausting. One morning, Maximus walked into the office to find me sitting at my desk, surrounded by a giggling flock of women, with Ava perched on the edge of my desk, feeding me a piece of cake. He stopped dead in his tracks, a thunderous look on his face. This Brooklyn character, he must have been thinking, is turning out to be more trouble than he's worth. So well behaved at first, and now this. He has a fiancée, and yet, here he is, flirting with every woman in the office. I need to call Chloe. I can't let her be humiliated like this. He retreated to his office and immediately called her. Chloe, it's your uncle, Uncle Maximus. Hi, what's up? Are you and Brooklyn still together? Or have you broken up? What? No. We're very happy together. Why would you ask that? Because your boyfriend is out here charming every woman in the office. He may look harmless, but he's a real player. I'm just warning you. You're going to get your heart broken. There was a slight pause on Chloe's end, and I could imagine her forcing a laugh. Oh, thank you for the warning, Uncle. I'll keep a closer eye on him. Don't you worry. I am worried. I'm worried about you. This is your life, Chloe. You deserve better than some two-timing pretty boy. I'll handle it, Uncle. Really? I have to go now. Talk to you later. A few minutes later, I walked into his office. Sir, the contracts are ready. Good, he said, his voice curt. We're meeting the client in 30 minutes. Okay, while we're waiting, I'll just go hang out with my colleagues for a bit. His head snapped up, his eyes flashing with irritation. You seem to enjoy socializing a little too much, don't you? Not really. It's just, sitting here for 30 minutes is a little boring. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze intense. You have a fiancé, my niece, and yet you spend all your time flirting with other women. Have you no shame? I was taken aback. Sir, I wasn't flirting. They were flirting with me. Is there a difference? You have a partner. You should know how to maintain a professional distance. If you're acting like this when I'm here, I can only imagine what you're like when I'm not. I'm warning you, Brooklyn. If you hurt my niece, you'll have to answer to me. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm being unfairly accused. Unfairly accused. Don't make me laugh. From now on, you will keep your distance from the other women in this office. If I see you causing trouble again, I'll fire you. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir, I mumbled. Retreating to my desk, I sat there, fuming, not daring to leave my seat. The injustice of it all was infuriating. I was being punished for something I didn't even do. After a few minutes of stewing in silence, I started to feel drowsy. My head began to nod. Brooklyn, his sharp voice jolted me awake. Yes, sir, it's time to go. We met the clients at a high-end restaurant. The meeting went well, the deal was signed, and we celebrated with a lavish meal. As we were finishing up, Maximus suddenly started to look unwell. A red rash was spreading across his neck, and his breathing became shallow. Brooklyn, he rasped, his voice tight. Get me to a hospital. I'm having an allergic reaction. Right away, sir, I said, jumping up. You drive. I can't. My vision is blurring. He tossed me the keys, and I helped him to the car. What are you allergic to? I asked, as I sped through the city streets. Shrimp, he wheezed. There must have been shrimp in the soup. I got him to the nearest emergency room just in time. He was having a severe anaphylactic reaction. The doctors stabilized him, but he was weak, dizzy, and unable to stand. He was lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to an IV, when he looked at me with a pained expression. Brooklyn, I need to use the restroom. Okay, I'll call the nurse. No, I can't get up. I'm too dizzy. I'll fall. Can you get me a bedpan? I called the nurse, and she returned a moment later with a plastic bedpan, which she promptly handed to me. Here you go. I stared at it, then at her, horrified. Can you help him? She looked at me like I had 3 heads. You're his friend, aren't you? You can help him. I'm not his friend. I'm his assistant. Then it's even more your duty to help him. Why are you trying to push your work onto me? She looked at me, then at him. Come on, lady. Help a guy out. My eyes hurt. I can't look at things. The nurse, a formidable woman with no time for nonsense, grabbed the bedpan and thrust it at Maximus. All right, you. Drop your pants. He looked mortified. No, wait. He'll help me. Brooklyn, please. The nurse shoved the bedpan into my hands. Just help him. You're both men. What's the big deal? She stormed out of the room, leaving me holding the instrument of my humiliation. I stood there, frozen, my face burning. Brooklyn, Maximus groaned. Please. I'm about to wet the bed. I had no choice. It was the most awkward, mortifying experience of my life. I was a woman, forced to help my male boss urinate into a plastic pan, all while trying to maintain my cover as a man. When it was over, I wanted to run out of the room and never come back. Call my family, he said, his eyes still swollen. I need someone to stay with me. Right away, sir, I said, relieved. Wait, he said, grabbing my arm. Don't. My father is old. My mother passed away. I don't want to worry my sister or my niece. He looked at me, his expression pleading. You stay. You're a man. It's more convenient. But sir, I can't. It's also inconvenient for me. "I'll pay you," he said, his voice desperate. "I'll pay you for your time. I'll probably be out of here by tomorrow. I have things to do, sir." $50,000. For one day, I hesitated. 50,000 was a lot of money. 100,000. "Deal," I said, before I could stop myself. He transferred the money to me on the spot. I was trapped. I stepped out into the hallway and called Chloe, my voice a frantic whisper. "You will not believe what just happened to me." I told her the whole sordid story of the bedpan. She burst out laughing. "Oh my God, you actually held it for him. That's hilarious. Maybe this is the start of a beautiful romance. A love story that begins with a bedpan." "It's not funny, Chloe. I wanted to die. Can you please come here and take over? I can't do this. Sorry, I'm out of town. You're on your own. Just think of the money, Brooklyn. 100,000. It's worth a little." "Discomfort, don't you think?" I groaned, leaning my head against the cool wall of the hospital corridor. This was going to be the longest night of my life. Later that evening, after 2 more bedpan incidents, I was trying to get some sleep in the uncomfortable visitor's chair. The room was cold, and I was shivering. "Brooklyn," Maximus said from the bed. "Come up here. You'll freeze to death in that chair." "No, sir, I'm fine." "Don't be ridiculous. We're both men. It's not a big deal. Come on, get in. It's warm." At first, I refused, but I was so cold, and the bed looked so inviting. Finally, I gave in. I climbed onto the other side of the large hospital bed, putting a pillow between us as a makeshift barrier. "You stay on your side," I warned. "If you cross this line, you're a dead man." He just shook his head, a small smile playing on his lips. "You know, I'm starting to wonder what my niece sees in such a petty, money-grubbing guy like you." I bristled. "What's that supposed to mean? I'm handsome and loyal. What's not to like? You're my niece's boyfriend. You should be taking care of me out of the goodness of your heart, not because I'm paying you. Hey, we're not married yet. You're not technically my family. So if you want my services, you have to pay for them. And don't even think about calling me in the middle of the night for another bedpan run, or you'll regret it. I have an IV drip. I'll probably have to go frequently, and I've already paid you $100,000. You have a responsibility to me now." "Fine," I grumbled, "but I'm not happy about it. Now, go to sleep." I turned my back to him and closed my eyes. I was exhausted, and within minutes, I was fast asleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, Maximus was woken by a heavy weight on his chest. He felt like he was suffocating. "Am I having a nightmare?" he wondered. He opened his eyes to find me sprawled on top of him, one leg thrown over his, my arm wrapped tightly around his neck. The pillow barrier was long gone. "This guy," he thought, shaking his head in disbelief. "He sets all these rules, and then he's the one who breaks them." He tried to push me off, but I just clung to him tighter, mumbling in my sleep. Annoyed, he grabbed a handful of my hair, intending to give it a sharp tug to wake me up. But as he pulled, the wig came off in his hand. He froze, staring at the detached hairpiece, then at me. My real hair, long and brown, was pinned up underneath. A sudden realization dawned on him. A wig. He looked at my face, at the soft line of my jaw, the curve of my eyelashes against my cheek, and then his eyes drifted down to my chest. Hesitantly, he reached out a hand and touched me. His fingers brushed against the soft, unmistakable curve of a breast. He snatched his hand back as if he'd been burned. "Oh my God," he thought, his mind reeling. "Brooklyn is a woman." He carefully put the wig back on my head, his hands shaking slightly. He looked at me, sleeping peacefully, and a slow smile spread across his face. So, my niece isn't engaged to a man after all. She's been lying to me. And this woman has been pretending to be a man to get a job. This is going to be very, very interesting. He lay there for the rest of the night, 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind. The girl who saved him, the mysterious woman he'd been searching for. She'd been right under his nose this whole time, and he had made her hold a bedpan for him. A wave of embarrassment washed over him. No wonder she had been so reluctant. He decided, then and there, that he would not expose her. Not yet. He was going to have a little fun with this first. The next morning, I woke up to find Maximus sitting up in bed, looking much better. I, on the other hand, was sprawled across his side of the bed, the wig slightly askew. I quickly scrambled back to my designated territory, pulling the wig straight. "Sir, you're awake," I said, trying to sound casual. "I bought you some breakfast." I held up a bag containing a container of warm porridge and coffee. "I know you must be craving it." He looked at me, a strange, unreadable expression in his eyes. For the first time, he seemed to see me as more than just an employee. It was a look of warmth, of something else I couldn't quite decipher. For years, he had been consumed by work, driven by ambition. His mother had died when he was young, and his father was now frail. He had never allowed himself the time for personal connections, for someone to care for him, to bring him a simple bowl of porridge. A strange feeling stirred within him, something he hadn't felt in a very long time. He was still staring at me, lost in thought, so I picked up the spoon and held it to his lips. "Sir, eat up. You need to get your strength back." The gesture seemed to snap him out of his reverie. He ate the porridge, his eyes never leaving my face. "Brooklyn," he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, sir." "Why did you come to this city without any of your documents? What are you hiding from?" I hesitated, then decided to tell him a version of the truth. "Actually, I ran away from home. My grandfather was trying to force me to marry someone I don't love. I refused, so he locked me in my room. I had to escape." "Escape?" he repeated, his gaze sharpening. "On the night of the big storm." "Yes," I said, not realizing the significance of my admission. That was the only chance I had. A slow, knowing smile spread across his face. So it was her, he thought, the girl who saved me. It was Brooklyn. He finally had his answer. The woman he'd been searching for was sitting right in front of him, disguised as his personal assistant. He decided to continue the charade, to playfully test the waters. "She's very convincing as a man," he mused, "but she was unlucky enough to fall asleep on top of me. For now, I'll keep her secret." This could be fun. His playful mood was immediately apparent. "So," he said, a teasing glint in his eye, "when are you and my niece getting married?" "Oh well, we're still young. We're not in a hurry. You're living with her now, aren't you?" "Yes, just for a month or so, until I can afford my own place." No house, no car. How are you going to support my niece on an assistant's salary?" "My sister, Chloe's mother. She's very particular. She would never accept a son-in-law with nothing to his name. I think, for Chloe's sake, you should break up with her. It would save her a lot of heartache in the long run." I stared at him, my blood beginning to boil. Even though our relationship was a sham, his condescending tone was infuriating. How dare he judge me? If he wasn't my boss, I would have punched him. "Sir," I said, my voice tight with restrained anger, "with all due respect, that is none of your business." Just then, the doctor came in to check on him, interrupting our tense conversation. After a thorough examination, Maximus was cleared to go home. The ride back to his house was thick with an awkward silence. I was still fuming from his earlier comments, and I took my anger out on his very expensive car. I deliberately drove through every pothole, jostling him around. "Brooklyn, drive carefully," he snapped as his head hit the window for the third time. I ignored him, turning onto a newly paved road where one lane was significantly higher than the other. I drove right over the edge, the bottom of the car scraping against the asphalt with a sickening screech. "Hey, are you trying to destroy my car?" he yelled. I just shrugged. "It's the road, not me. Why are you yelling? You could have gone around." "I don't like taking the long way. I prefer the direct route." That was the last straw. He lunged at me, his hand raised as if to strike me. In that same instant, I slammed on the brakes. The sudden stop sent him flying forward, his face pitching towards mine. He braced himself with his hands, one landing on the steering wheel, the other directly on my chest. We both froze. His hand was cupping my breast. He snatched it back, as if he'd been electrocuted, his face turning a deep shade of red. I'm sorry," he stammered. I didn't mean to. I was just as flustered, my own face burning. It's okay. Just be more careful next time." But he couldn't let it go. He was enjoying this too much. "You know, Brooklyn," he said, a smirk playing on his lips, "your chest is surprisingly big for a man." I shot him a death glare. If it had been anyone else, they would have been nursing a broken jaw. But he was my boss. I had to play along. "I work out," I said through clenched teeth, "building up the pecs. It's a normal thing for men to do, right?" he said, not sounding convinced at all. "But your pecs, they're so soft, almost like—" "Enough," I snapped, cutting him off. "Can you please just be quiet? My head is starting to hurt." The rest of the drive was silent. The moment I pulled up to his house, I practically threw the keys at him and fled. I couldn't be in the same car as him for one more second. As I was waiting for a taxi, my phone rang. It was an unknown number, but the area code was from my hometown. It was Victoria. Well, she sneered. "You're a hard person to find. Where's Mom? Why do you have her phone? Mommy is waiting for you to come home. I'm giving you 12 hours, Brooklyn. Get back here. If you don't, you'll never see her again." The line went dead. A wave of pure terror washed over me. I tried calling back, but she didn't answer. I tried my grandfather's number, but it went straight to voicemail. Something was wrong. I hailed the first taxi I saw and told the driver to take me home, my heart pounding with a terrible, sickening dread. The 2-hour drive felt like an eternity. When I finally arrived, the house was eerily quiet, but the kitchen was a disaster zone. It looked like a bomb had gone off. Cabinets were blown off their hinges. The stove was a twisted wreck of metal, and the air was thick with the smell of gas and smoke. Victoria was sitting in the living room, calmly filing her nails. "Victoria, where is Mom?" She looked up, a cruel smile on her face. "Oh, you're back. I thought you'd never set foot in this house again. Where is she?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "Upstairs. She had a little accident. But don't worry, I was kind enough to call you, wasn't I? And look, here you are, such a good, obedient daughter." I didn't wait for another word. I flew up the stairs to my mother's room. She was lying in bed, both of her legs in thick plaster casts. "Mom, what happened? Was it Victoria? Did she do this to you?" No, darling," she whispered, her voice weak. "It was the gas stove. It exploded. The wall collapsed on me. The neighbors, they saved me. I just have a broken leg and some minor burns. An explosion. My blood ran cold. This was no accident. This was Victoria. She had orchestrated all of this to lure me back. I knelt by her bed, tears streaming down my face. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have been here to take care of you. She stroked my hair, her touch a comforting balm on my frayed nerves. Don't say that. You have your own life to live. You can't be by my side forever. I'm okay, Brooklyn. Really. I'm just so glad you're here. I clung to her, my heart breaking for all the pain she had endured. I had spent my life trying to escape this place. But now, looking at my mother's broken body, I knew I couldn't run anymore. Not until she was safe. I would stay. I would take care of her. And I would make Victoria pay for what she had done. Of course, that was exactly what Victoria wanted. She and Caleb Thorne had cooked up this whole scheme together. With me back in the house, a willing prisoner, bound by my love for my mother, it would be so much easier for them to execute the next phase of their plan. Her mother's injury is quite severe, Victoria told Caleb over coffee. Brooklyn won't leave her side now. I'll help you get her. Once the deed is done, she'll have no choice but to marry you. Caleb's eyes gleamed with a possessive, predatory light. She's a stubborn one. Are you sure this will work? Trust me, Victoria said with a confident smirk. I have a plan, and I never fail. Back at the office, Maximus was growing concerned. I had been gone for 3 days. My only communication was a brief text message asking for a week off. He knew something was wrong. He called Chloe. Chloe, it's your uncle. Hey, Uncle Maximus. What's up? Do you know what's going on with Brooklyn? He asked for a week off, and I haven't heard from him since. Oh, his mom broke her leg. He had to go home to take care of her. But, Uncle, I'm worried. I'm afraid his family is going to try to force him to. Get married. Get married? Maximus repeated, his voice sharp. Force her to get married. A slip of the tongue. I know what you meant, Chloe, and I know Brooklyn is a woman. You don't have to lie to me anymore. There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line. What? How? How did you know? I found out at the hospital. Now, listen to me. Call Brooklyn. Check on her. Let me know what's happening. Okay, Uncle. I'll call her right now. But I didn't answer. Victoria had taken my phone, smashing it to pieces. I was completely cut off from the outside world. Maximus waited, his anxiety growing with every passing minute. When Chloe finally called back, her voice was frantic. I can't reach her, Uncle. Her phone is off. I don't know what's happening. Stay where you are, he said, his voice calm and decisive. I'm coming to get you. He picked her up, and they drove towards my family's estate. A silent, shared dread hanging in the air between them. Maybe his family is forcing him to marry someone, Chloe fretted, twisting her hands in her lap. What if we're too late? Her words only fueled Maximus's fear. He pressed his foot harder on the accelerator. When they arrived, it was Victoria who answered the door. Can I help you? She asked, her eyes cold and suspicious. Hi, I'm Chloe, Brooklyn's friend, Chloe said, trying to sound cheerful. I heard her mom had an accident, so I just wanted to come and check on them. Brooklyn and her mother have gone somewhere else, Victoria said flatly, blocking the doorway. Oh, Chloe said, her mind racing. Do you know where they went? No. Chloe tried a different tactic. I've been driving for a long time, and I'm really thirsty. Could I possibly come in for a glass of water? No, Victoria said, her voice like ice. There's a cafe down the road. You can get water there. Now, if you'll excuse me, she slammed the door in their faces. They retreated to the car, baffled and worried. Gone somewhere else? Chloe repeated, her brow furrowed. Why wouldn't Brooklyn tell me something like that? She's lying, Maximus said, his gaze fixed on the imposing manor. She's hiding something. We need to get inside that house. But how? She won't let us in. We'll wait until dark, he said, his voice low and determined. And then I'll find a way in. They were right to be suspicious. I was a prisoner in my own home. Victoria had locked me in my room, my hands and feet bound. She had 3 guards posted outside my door for a day and a night. I was given no food, no water. I was weak, dizzy, my stomach cramping with hunger. Finally, Victoria came in. Still alive? She asked, a cruel smirk on her face. I could barely speak. Let me go. She knelt beside me, her face close to mine. Do you want to live to take care of your precious mother? Because if you die, who will look after her? Maybe I should just let her follow you. That way, you two can be together forever. No, I whispered, tears welling in my eyes. Please, don't hurt her. Then you'll be a good girl and marry Caleb Thorne. If you do as you're told, you and your mother will be safe. You'll be Mrs. Thorne. You'll be rich. Your mother will be well taken care of. What do you say? Do we have a deal? She was using my mother, my one weakness, to blackmail me. I had no choice. For my mother's safety, I had to agree. Don't hurt my mother, I said, my voice hoarse. I'll marry him. Good girl, she purred. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? She had her men untie me and bring me food and water. But I was still a prisoner, confined to my room, under constant surveillance. My only hope was to play along, to wait for an opportunity, any opportunity, to escape. I stared out the window of my room, a gilded cage on the 2nd floor. The drop to the ground was too high. I would surely die if I jumped. I have to get out of here, I thought, my mind racing. I have to get to the police. But how? That night, under the cloak of darkness, Maximus and Chloe put their plan into action. Okay, he said, his voice a low whisper as they crouched behind the garden wall. You go to the front gate, ring the bell, make a scene, do whatever you have to do to draw their attention. I'll go over the wall and find Brooklyn. Okay, she said, her own voice trembling slightly. Be careful. You too. Keep them occupied for as long as you can. While Chloe created a diversion at the front of the house, I was in my room, facing my own personal nightmare. Victoria brought me a glass of orange juice. Here, she said, setting it on the nightstand. Drink this. You need to get your strength back. You look terrible. We can't have Caleb seeing you like this. I want to see my mother, I said, my voice flat. Drink the juice, and then I'll take you to her. It was another threat, another test of my obedience. I knew, with a sickening certainty, that the juice was drugged. But if I refused, she would hurt my mother. I had to drink it. I picked up the glass and drained it in one gulp. There, now take me to my mother. Of course, she said, with a triumphant smile. I stood up, but my legs felt like jelly. The room started to spin, the edges of my vision blurring. I stumbled, collapsing onto the floor, my mind a swirling vortex of confusion. The last thing I heard before I blacked out was Victoria's voice, calling for her men. Get in here, take her to the other room. It's time to welcome Mr. Thorne. They carried my limp body to another bedroom, one that Victoria had meticulously prepared for the evenings. Entertainment. The room was filled with roses and balloons. A bottle of champagne sat chilling in an ice bucket. The bed was covered in a sea of red rose petals. It was a stage, set for a violation, for Caleb Thorne's arrival. I was lying on the bed, my mind in a fog, my body burning with a strange, unfamiliar heat. The drug was taking hold. Outside, Maximus had made it over the wall. He moved through the shadows of the garden, silent as a panther. On the second floor, he saw a single room with the lights on and 3 guards posted outside the door. "She's in there," he thought. He walked up to the men, his expression calm and authoritative. "Miss Hayes needs you at the front gate," he said, his voice firm. "There's a disturbance." They looked at him, suspicious. "Who are you?" "I'm with the groom's party," he said smoothly. "I was sent to check on things." The mention of Caleb Thorne seemed to satisfy them. "Is Mr. Thorne here yet?" "He's at the gate now. Miss Hayes sent me to get you." "It's urgent." That was all they needed to hear. They hurried downstairs, leaving the door unguarded. Maximus slipped inside. He found me on the bed, delirious, my clothes in disarray. "Brooklyn," he said, shaking me gently. "Brooklyn, it's me." I could barely focus on his face. He scooped me up into his arms and carried me out of the room. Just as the guards were returning, a confused-looking Victoria in tow. They saw him, a stranger carrying an unconscious woman out of the house, and the chase was on. He ran, carrying me through the sprawling gardens. 2 of Victoria's goons hot on his heels. He ducked into a narrow path that led into the vineyards bordering the estate, the darkness and the thick rows of grapevines providing cover. He found a secluded spot and set me down, covering my mouth with his hand to stifle the sounds I was making. The drugs had taken full effect, and I was writhing, my body on fire. "Shh," he whispered, his voice in my ear. "They're right up there. Be still." But I couldn't. I was lost in a haze of drug-induced lust. I pushed his hand away, my own hands roaming over his body, pulling him closer. He tried to restrain me, but in my delirious state, I was surprisingly strong. He knew that if I made a sound, we would be discovered. There was only one way to keep me quiet. He kissed me. It was a desperate, silencing kiss, meant to stop my struggles. But the moment his lips touched mine, something shifted. The world fell away, and there was only the taste of him, the feel of his arms around me. I melted into him, all the fight gone, replaced by a deep, aching need. Up on the path, the guards paused. "Where'd they go?" one of them grumbled. "It's like they just vanished." "Let's check that way," the other one said. They must have headed for the main road. They ran off, their footsteps fading into the night. Maximus pulled away, his breathing ragged. "They're gone." I looked at him, my eyes glazed over. "Don't stop," I whispered, my voice thick with desire. "Kiss me again." I pulled him back to me, my mouth finding his in the darkness. "Brooklyn, stop," he said, his voice strained. "You're not yourself. You've been drugged." "I don't care," I murmured against his neck. "I want you. Please. Help me." I pushed him down onto the soft earth of the vineyard, my body covering his. I kissed him with a wild, desperate passion, a raw, primal need that a part of my conscious mind knew was not my own, but that my body could not deny. "Brooklyn, you'll regret this in the morning." "I won't," I whispered, my lips trailing down his neck. "Just tell me you like me." "I like you," he breathed, his resolve crumbling. And in the darkness of the vineyard, under a canopy of stars, we gave in to the inevitable. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was the morning sun filtering through a canopy of green leaves. The second thing I saw was Maximus, lying beside me, watching me with a gentle, unreadable expression. The memories of the night before came flooding back in a confusing, mortifying jumble. I turned away, my face burning with shame. He reached out and gently turned my face back towards him. Are you embarrassed? I just nodded, unable to meet his eyes. Don't be, he said softly. You were drugged. It wasn't your fault, and I'm glad I was the one who was here for you. If I hadn't been, Caleb Thorne would have been. The thought sent a shiver of revulsion through me. So, my family really was going to force me to marry that pig? Yes, he said, his hand gently stroking my cheek. But you don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm here. I'll protect you. A comfortable silence settled between us. When did you know, I finally asked, that you were a woman? At the hospital. You fell asleep on top of me, and your wig came off. A fresh wave of embarrassment washed over me. You and Chloe. You're both very brave and very convincing. I have to admit, I was completely fooled. It was Chloe's idea, I mumbled. She said you didn't hire women, and I was desperate. I didn't have any of my paperwork. Without her, I never would have gotten the job. Well, you can thank her for me, he said, a slow smile spreading across his face. Because of her, I found you. Our eyes met, and in that moment, something shifted. The lines between boss and assistant, between man and woman, between savior and saved, all blurred into a single, undeniable connection. Just then, his phone rang, startling us both. It's Chloe, he said, answering it. We're okay. Meet us at the main road. We're on our way. He helped me to my feet, and we walked out of the vineyard, hand in hand, into the bright light of a new day. With Maximus's help, the police launched an investigation. Victoria and Caleb Thorne were arrested and charged with unlawful imprisonment and assault. Faced with the evidence, they were both sentenced to 2 years in prison. The scandal rocked my grandfather's company. The police began to look into his business dealings, and soon, the entire empire was under scrutiny. I took my mother, and we left that house of horrors for good. We walked away with nothing but the clothes on our backs. But it didn't matter. We had each other. We had our freedom. Life with my mother in the city was simple and peaceful. I went back to work at Phoenix Enterprises, but this time, as myself. The day I walked into the office as Brooklyn, the woman, was a day I'll never forget. The entire staff was in a state of shock. Brooklyn, you're a woman? Where's the handsome guy we all had a crush on? Oh my God. And I kept texting you, trying to ask you out. I bowed my head in a gesture of apology. I'm so sorry I deceived you all. It was a complicated situation. Mr. Maximus wasn't hiring female assistants at the time, but they were all surprisingly understanding. And Ava, my most persistent admirer, was not deterred. I don't care if you're a woman, she declared, grabbing my hand. I still like you. The entire office erupted in cheers, and I found myself in the awkward position of being the object of a woman's affection. I tried to explain that I was straight, but Ava was convinced she could change my mind. Maximus, who had been watching the whole scene with a look of amusement, finally stepped in. All right, everyone, that's enough. Back to work. The crowd dispersed, but Ava was still clinging to my hand. Miss Ava, he said, his voice laced with a warning tone. Don't you have work to do, or would you prefer to be unemployed? She quickly scurried back to her desk, and Maximus pulled me into his office. From now on, he said, a possessive glint in his eye, I want you to keep your interactions with the other staff to a minimum. This is a place of business, not a social club. Yes, sir, I said, trying to suppress a smile. Are you jealous? Of course not, he scoffed. It's just company policy. Right, company policy. Tonight, he said, changing the subject. Let's go shopping. No thanks. I don't need anything. It'll be my treat. I'm not interested. After a long day at work, all I want to do is go home and sleep. He looked genuinely hurt. You're being very cold to me. After what happened between us. You're just going to use me and then toss me aside. Brooklyn, do you even have a heart? The mention of our night in the vineyard made my cheeks flush. I quickly tried to change the subject. Sir, we have a meeting to prepare for. I've already compiled the documents. Would you like to review them? He pulled me closer, his arms circling my waist, until there was no space between us. Brooklyn, he whispered, his voice low and intense. Why are you avoiding me? You can't deny what happened between us. I like you, and I know you feel something for me too. Just then, there was a knock at the door. I quickly pulled away as a client walked in. But throughout the entire meeting, Maximus's hand was on my thigh under the table, a constant, distracting presence. That afternoon, as I was leaving work, I literally bumped into someone in the lobby. Oh, I'm so sorry, I said, looking up, and I found myself staring into a pair of very familiar, very handsome eyes. Ashton? Brooklyn. It was Ashton Vance, an old friend from my university days in Paris. I can't believe it's you, he said, a wide, charming smile spreading across his face. What are you doing here? I work here, I said, laughing. What about you? I start tomorrow. It's been too long, Brooklyn. You look amazing. I tried calling your old number, but it was disconnected. Yeah, I had to change it. A lot has happened. Well, we have to catch up. Give me your new number. We exchanged numbers, and as I walked away, I felt a strange sense of unease. Ashton was a good friend, but he was also Maximus's nephew, the son of the brother who is now in jail. The family dynamics at Phoenix Enterprises were about to get a lot more complicated. Later that day, Ashton walked into Maximus's office. Uncle Maximus. Ashton, sit down. You start tomorrow. I'm putting you in charge of the business development department. It's your area of expertise. Thank you, Uncle. You're being so kind. It's making me a little nervous. Maximus stopped what he was doing and looked at his nephew. What's that supposed to mean? I visited my father today, Ashton said, his voice turning cold. He's so thin. I almost didn't recognize him. He's heartbroken, you know. There's nothing more painful than being betrayed and imprisoned by your own brother. Maximus sighed. He knew this was coming. Ashton, your father is in jail because of the choices he made. He was addicted to drugs. He hired someone to kill me. The police investigated and arrested him. It had nothing to do with me. Don't try to deny it, Uncle. I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. But it seems you've already made up your mind about who's to blame. I have to go, Ashton said, standing up. I'll see you tomorrow. Maximus watched him leave, a sense of foreboding settling over him. He knew Ashton's arrival was not a coincidence. He was here for revenge. That evening, unable to get me to go out with him, Maximus went to the one person who might be able to help him, Chloe. Uncle Maximus. What are you doing here? She asked, surprised to see him at her door. I came to visit my favorite niece, of course. She eyed him suspiciously. You only come to see me when you need something. What is it? He sighed. All right, you caught me. It's Brooklyn. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. She's being so cold to me. I ask her out, and she refuses. She's avoiding me. What's wrong with me? Am I not handsome enough? Not good enough for her? Chloe looked at him and delivered the brutal, honest truth. You're not attractive enough for her, Uncle. That's why she doesn't like you. He looked like she had just slapped him. Chloe, that's the meanest thing you've ever said to me. I'm just being honest. Have you done something to upset her? He thought back to their night in the vineyard. He had been a perfect gentleman, hadn't he? He had saved her, comforted her. He thought he had made a good impression. I want to win her over, Chloe. What do I do? Give up, Uncle. The way you're going, you're doomed to fail. He lightly smacked the back of her head. Can you please say something helpful? Okay, she said, rubbing her head. I'll be your love consultant. First, have you ever heard the saying, persistence pays off? Yes, you've been asking her out, and she's been saying no. So, instead of asking her out, just show up. Go to her house. That way, you can also get on her mother's good side. Win over the mother, and you've won half the battle. Trust me, Uncle. This will work. He nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Okay, thank you, my dear niece. If this works, I'll buy you that limited edition handbag you've been wanting. Deal, she said, her eyes lighting up. Now, let me tell you exactly what you need to do to charm a future mother-in-law. The next morning, I ran into Ashton in the lobby. Brooklyn, good morning. Have you had breakfast yet? I have, thanks. I bought you a coconut latte, he said, holding out a cup. I remembered it was your favorite. Wow, you remembered, I said, touched. Thank you, Ashton. Of course. I remember everything about you. I came back to the country early, you know. I was hoping to find you. Really, I had some trouble when I first got back, and I lost my phone, so I had to get a new number. I heard, he said, his expression turning serious as he gently brushed a stray strand of hair from my face. Are you okay now? You look thinner than you did in Paris. I'm fine now. Everything's okay. We stood there for a moment, the comfortable ease of our old friendship settling around us. We had been part of a close-knit group of friends in Paris, a little family of expatriates looking out for each other. It was good to see him again, but our happy reunion was being watched. From his office window, Maximus saw us. He saw the easy way we stood together, the way Ashton touched my hair, the way I smiled at him, and he was consumed by a fiery, irrational jealousy. He strode out of his office, deliberately bumping into me as he passed. Oh, excuse me, he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Brooklyn, come to my office. I have something for you to do. Ashton, you should get to work as well. He grabbed my hand and pulled me into his office, leaving a smirking Ashton behind. So, he likes her, Ashton thought to himself. This is going to be even more fun than I thought. I'll take her from you, Uncle. And then, I'll take this company. Maximus pulled me into his office, his grip on my hand surprisingly tight. Let go of me, I said, trying to wrench my hand free. It's not even 9 o'clock, and you're already in a mood. I was just talking to a friend. You were talking for a long time, he retorted, his eyes dark with an emotion I couldn't quite place. And you looked very happy. Do you? Do you like Ashton? What? No. Ashton is just an old friend. We were in the same circle in Paris. There's nothing romantic between us. Good, he said, his grip finally relaxing. He's my nephew. I don't want things to get complicated. I understand, I said, rubbing my wrist. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. I turned to leave, but he caught me again, pulling me back until I was sitting on his lap. Brooklyn, he said, his voice a low murmur against my ear. Why are you still pushing me away? Have you forgotten about our night in the vineyard? I quickly covered his mouth with my hand. Shh, someone might hear you. He pulled my hand away, a playful smirk on his lips. Let them. I like you, Brooklyn. I want everyone to know. Now, what about you? Do you have feelings for me? I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. Answer me honestly, he pressed, his face moving closer to mine. If you don't, I'm going to kiss you. Don't, I whispered, glancing nervously at the glass door of his office. What if someone sees? Then answer the question. Do you like me? Yes, I finally admitted, my voice barely audible. I like you, but what happened in the vineyard? I was embarrassed. That's why I've been avoiding you. A look of pure, unadulterated joy spread across his face. He wrapped his arms around me, holding me tight. Brooklyn, I'm so in love with you. Please, be my girlfriend. I looked into his eyes, and in their warm, sincere depths, I saw my own feelings reflected back at me. I nodded. Yes, he let out a triumphant laugh and kissed me. A deep, passionate kiss that left me breathless. It felt like coming home, but our newfound happiness was short-lived. The very next day, a ghost from Maximus's past walked into the office. She was young, beautiful, and dressed in the latest designer clothes. She moved with an air of effortless confidence, as if she owned the place. Hello, everyone, she said, her voice a melodious purr. It's been a while. It was Bianca, Maximus's ex-girlfriend. They had been together for years, and a few years ago had been on the verge of getting married. Then she had abruptly left him, disappearing without a word. Bianca, one of the senior employees exclaimed. I can't believe it's you. You're back, for good this time, she said with a dazzling smile. Is Maximus in his office? He is. Perfect. I'll just go say hello. She walked into his office without knocking. Maximus, my love, I'm back. He looked up, a mixture of shock and something else. Pain on his face. Bianca, what are you doing here? I've come home, she said, draping herself over his desk. And I'm unemployed. I was hoping my favorite person in the world might have a job for me. The company is fully staffed, he said, his voice cold. Oh, come on, Max. It's me. You've changed. You used to do anything I asked. That was 3 years ago. Bianca, things are different now, are they? She said, a sad smile playing on her lips. I thought you might still have feelings for me. He laughed, a short, humorless sound. You're the one who left me, Bianca. You're the one who walked away to be with someone else. And now you come back here, expecting what? That I'd welcome you with open arms. Tears welled in her eyes. You're angry with me. I understand. But did you ever stop to think about why I left? Did you ever wonder if maybe, just maybe, I didn't have a choice? What are you talking about? Do you really want to know why I left you 3 years ago, Max? It was because of your father. He forced me to leave. He threatened to send my father to jail if I didn't disappear from your life. Maximus stared at her, stunned into silence. It's true, she said, her voice choked with sobs. He made me choose between you and my family. What was I supposed to do? My father was sick. I couldn't let him go to prison, so I left. I took my father overseas, and I stayed with him until he passed away. And now I'm back. For you. She collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. And he, in his shock and guilt, held her. I was on my way back from the HR department when I heard the office gossiping. It's Bianca, his ex-fiancée. She's back. I wonder if they'll get back together. They were so in love. It was a shame when they broke up. My heart sank. I walked towards Maximus's office, and through the glass, I saw them. Bianca crying in his arms, and him holding her, comforting her. I turned and walked away before they could see me. Ashton found me on the rooftop, staring out at the city skyline. Hey, he said gently. You okay? I just shook my head. You saw them, didn't you? You know her? Bianca? Yeah, she's a friend of mine. Her father used to be my grandfather's driver. She and my uncle were together for years. Everyone thought they were going to get married. Then, one day, she just left. I always thought it was strange, but now it all makes sense. My grandfather, he can be a very cruel man when he wants to be. He must have forced her to leave. Poor Bianca. After all these years, my uncle must feel so guilty. His words were like daggers in my heart. They were really in love, weren't they? Deeply, he said, his voice full of sympathy. If my grandfather hadn't interfered, they'd be married with kids by now. Now that she's back, I'm sure he'll do everything he can to make it up to her. He looked at me, his eyes soft with pity. Brooklyn, if you have feelings for my uncle, I think you should let him go. He's going to choose her. I know he will. I said nothing. I just stood there, my heart slowly breaking. That evening, I waited for Maximus to come to my apartment, as he had promised. He never showed up. The next day, Ashton came to my apartment after work. He brought a basket of fruit and a warm, friendly smile. "How are you doing?" he asked, his voice full of concern. "I'm fine," I lied. He knew I wasn't. "I saw my uncle and Bianca at my grandfather's house earlier," he said, his voice casual, but his words were carefully chosen. "It looks like my grandfather has finally given them his blessing. He's old now. He can't stop them anymore." He paused, then looked at me directly. "Brooklyn, you like my uncle, don't you?" I didn't answer. "It's okay," he said gently. "You don't have to say it, but please, don't be sad. You have so many people who care about you, people like me." He reached out and covered my hand with his. "I would be honored to have the chance to be your boyfriend." I pulled my hand away. "Ashton, please, I'm sorry," he said, looking genuinely remorseful. "I don't know what came over me. Please, forgive me." The truth was, Maximus had spent the evening confronting his father, and his father had admitted everything. He had forced Bianca to leave, threatening to ruin her family if she didn't. Maximus was furious. "How could you do that, Dad? How could you be so cruel? She wasn't good enough for you," his father had said, unrepentant. "She was the driver's daughter. It would have been a disgrace. I loved her, and you destroyed that. Do you have any idea how much she suffered because of you? How much I suffered? Well, she's back now, isn't she?" His father had said dismissively. "Marry her. I won't stand in your way this time." Maximus had stormed out, his mind in a turmoil. He wanted to go to me, to explain everything, but Bianca was a mess. She had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. He felt responsible for her, so he took her to Chloe's apartment, thinking Chloe could look after her for the night. It was a big mistake. The moment Chloe saw Bianca, she was on the attack. "What is she doing here?" Chloe demanded. "You two broke up years ago. It's a long story," Maximus said, trying to placate her. "She just got back in town, and she has nowhere to stay. Just for one night, Chloe. Please." Chloe reluctantly agreed. But the moment Maximus left, she turned on Bianca. "You know he has a girlfriend, right? I just found out today," Bianca said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "But they've only been together for a week. It can't be that serious. You should stay away from him," Chloe warned. "You abandoned him once. Don't come back now and try to ruin his happiness." "I had my reasons," Bianca said, her eyes flashing. "Reasons that have everything to do with your grandfather. He's the one who forced me to leave. Maximus knows the truth now. He'll come back to me. Just you wait and see." The two women spent the rest of the night locked in a cold war of words, their mutual dislike for each other thick in the air. The next morning, Maximus came to my apartment. He knew I was angry, and he had come to explain. But I didn't want to hear it. I don't want to go out with you, I said, my voice cold. I don't want anything to do with you. It's over. Brooklyn, please, he begged, grabbing my hand. Let me explain. It's not what you think. Bianca and I are over. I'm with you now. I know everything, I said, pulling my hand away. I know your father forced her to leave. I know how much she suffered. She's back now. You should be with her. She deserves a second chance. I don't love her anymore, he insisted. I love you. I don't believe you. You two have a history. You have a connection. I'm just the new girl. I'd rather end things now than get hurt later. Brooklyn, don't do this. I've made up my mind. From now on, you are my boss, and I am your employee. Nothing more. For the next few days, I was as good as my word. I was professional, efficient, and completely detached. And Maximus was miserable. To make matters worse, Bianca was a constant presence at the office, always finding an excuse to be near him, to touch him, to remind him of their shared past. She also made a point to torment me, to make my life a living hell. One morning, when Maximus was out of the office, she cornered me at my desk. Still here? She asked, her voice laced with venom. Haven't you taken the hint and quit yet? I ignored her, continuing to type. Are you deaf? She snapped. I'm talking to you. I finally looked up, my eyes cold. What do you want, Bianca? I want you to leave. I want you to get out of Maximus's life. He's mine. He bought me a house, you know. He's taking care of me. Do you really think he's over me? You're just a temporary distraction, a little fling. So do us all a favor and disappear. I slammed my hand down on the desk. Shut up, I said, my voice dangerously low. I'm here to work, not to be the third wheel in your pathetic little drama. So take your insecurities and your lies and get out of my face. Just then, Ashton appeared, a knight in shining armor. Bianca, he said, his voice firm. Leave her alone. I was just having a little chat with her, Bianca said, pouting. It looked like more than a chat to me, Ashton said, putting a protective arm around my shoulders. And just so you know, you don't have to worry about Brooklyn interfering with you and my uncle anymore, because she's with me now. Bianca stared at us, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows raised in surprise. What? You two are together? We're getting to know each other, Ashton said smoothly, pulling me closer. I like Brooklyn a lot, and I'm pursuing her. So now that you know, you can rest easy. She won't be a threat to you and my uncle anymore. Before I could protest, Ashton steered me away, leaving a stunned Bianca in his wake. Ashton, what was that all about? I demanded, once we were out of earshot. Why did you tell her that? I was just trying to help, he said, his expression sincere. She was harassing you. I thought if she believed you were with me, she'd leave you alone. But now she's going to tell everyone. It's going to cause so many problems. Don't worry, he said with a reassuring smile. I don't mind. In fact, I'd be happy if it were true. I really do like you, Brooklyn. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small chocolate bar. Here, for you. It's your favorite. His sweetness was disarming. He was kind and thoughtful, and in that moment, a stark contrast to the drama and confusion surrounding Maximus. I took the chocolate, a small, sad smile on my face. Thank you, Ashton. When Maximus returned, Bianca couldn't wait to tell him the news. Did you hear? She gushed, her voice dripping with fake excitement. Ashton and Brooklyn are dating. Isn't that wonderful? I told you she was just a fling. See how quickly she moved on. I'm the only one who's ever been truly loyal to you. Get out, Bianca, he said, his voice dangerously low. Don't ever come to this office again. But Max, I miss you. I'm all alone in that big house. Come have dinner with me tonight. I'll make all your favorite dishes. Listen to me, and listen carefully, he said, his patience finally snapping. I bought you a house and gave you money because I felt guilty, because my father wronged you. It was compensation, Bianca. Nothing more. My feelings for you are in the past. They're gone. I love Brooklyn. So please, for the last time, accept it and move on. But she wouldn't. She clung to him, sobbing, begging, her desperation a pathetic, ugly display. And, of course, that was the moment I walked past his office. I saw them, her arms wrapped around him, his face a mask of frustration and pity, and my heart, which had already been fractured, broke a little more. I fled to the rooftop, the one place I could be alone. I took a piece of paper from my notebook and scribbled down all my pain, all my anger, all my confusion. Why is this so hard? Why can't I just let him go? Why does it hurt so much? I crumpled the paper into a tight ball and threw it in the trash, but it did little to ease the ache in my chest. That evening, Maximus was waiting for me in the lobby. Brooklyn, he said, his voice pleading, please, just talk to me. I have nothing to say to you, I said, pushing past him. Please, he said, grabbing my arm. Just give me 5 minutes. I snatched my arm away, my own anger finally bubbling to the surface. Don't touch me. Stay away from me. I left him standing there, a look of utter despair on his face. He went straight to Chloe's apartment, a last, desperate attempt to win me back. He found her in the middle of a workout. She opened the door, sweaty and out of breath, and immediately tried to slam it in his face. Go away, she grunted, pushing against the door. I'm not helping you. He managed to wedge his foot in the opening and push his way inside. Chloe, please, you're my last hope. I'm begging you. She finally relented, collapsing onto her yoga mat. What do you want me to do? She won't listen to me. She's too hurt. Just talk to her for me. Tell her it's not what it looks like. Tell her I love her. Why should I? She shot back, sitting up. You're the one who brought Bianca back into her life. You're the one who bought her a house, who let her hang all over you at the office. Brooklyn saw you too. She's not stupid. She's a good person, Uncle. She deserves better than to be caught in the middle of your mess. So, you know what? Go back to Bianca. Leave Brooklyn alone. It was a mistake, he said, his voice cracking. I bought Bianca the house to compensate her, to make up for what my father did. It was never about my feelings for her. I love Brooklyn. Please, Chloe. You have to make her understand. No, she said, her voice firm. I'm not going to. You made this mess. You fix it. She was right, of course, but he was desperate, and Bianca was manipulative. That very night, she sent him a frantic text message. Help! There's a burglar in the house. He knew, deep down, that it was probably a lie, but he couldn't take the chance. He drove to her house, his heart pounding with a mixture of annoyance and concern. He found her, not cowering in fear, but waiting for him in a slinky red dress, the room lit by candles, a romantic dinner for two set on the table. Surprise, she said, her voice a sultry whisper. He just stared at her, his face a mask of cold fury. You lied to me. I just wanted to see you, she said, pouting. Stay, have a drink with me. He turned to leave, but she threw her arms around him, pressing her body against his. Stay with me tonight, Max. I've missed you so much. She tried to kiss him, but he pushed her away, his face a mask of disgust. Don't you ever do that again. We are over, Bianca. "It's finished." He walked out, leaving her standing alone in her carefully staged fantasy, her face contorted with rage. "If I can't have you," she screamed into the empty house, "then she can't have you either." The next day, a frantic text from Chloe woke Maximus from a restless sleep. "Bad news. Ashton and Brooklyn are going on a date. Today." He was out of bed in a flash. He drove to Chloe's apartment, arriving at 4 o'clock in the morning, and laid on the horn until she stumbled out, bleary-eyed and furious. "What is wrong with you?" she yelled. "It's 4 in the morning. Get in," he said, his voice grim. "We're going on a stakeout." He drove them to my apartment and parked across the street, where they waited and waited for 3 long, agonizing hours. Finally, at 8 o'clock, Ashton's car pulled up. A few minutes later, I emerged, and we drove off. Maximus and Chloe followed us to a park by a lake. We went for a walk, and they trailed behind us, Maximus looking ridiculous in a motorcycle helmet and a face mask, trying to be inconspicuous. "This is absurd," Chloe complained. "We look like stalkers." "Just be quiet and keep walking," he hissed. Ashton and I rented a paddle boat and went out on the lake. And of course, Maximus insisted that he and Chloe do the same. "This is so much work," Chloe grunted, her legs pumping furiously. "You have to help me, Uncle. I can't do this by myself." "I can't," he said, his eyes glued to my paddle boat. "I have to keep them in my sights. You haven't taken your eyes off them all morning. Just paddle, you lazy git." She was so engrossed in her argument with him that she didn't see the other paddle boat turning in front of them. They collided, and the impact sent Maximus flying into the water. He came up sputtering, flailing his arms wildly. "Help, I'm drowning." I heard his cries and turned just in time to see him go under. Without a second thought, I dove into the water. I'm a strong swimmer, and I reached him in a matter of seconds. I pulled his head above the water and started to drag him to shore. He was a dead weight in my arms, his eyes closed, his body limp. I hauled him onto the grass, my heart hammering in my chest. "Maximus, Maximus, wake up." Chloe was there, wailing dramatically. "Oh, my poor uncle. He's dead. Brooklyn, you have to save him. Give him CPR." I didn't hesitate. I tilted his head back, pinched his nose, and began to breathe into his mouth. I pressed on his chest, counting, praying. After a few compressions, he coughed, sputtering water, and his eyes fluttered open. The moment he was conscious, he pulled me into his arms, clinging to me as if he'd just been pulled back from the brink of death. "Brooklyn," he whispered, his voice hoarse, "I love you. Don't ever leave me again." And in that moment, all my anger, all my hurt, all my reservations melted away. I wrapped my arms around him and held on tight. "I won't," I whispered back. "I promise." Ashton stood on the shore, watching us, a look of quiet resignation on his face. He knew he had lost. As Maximus and I walked away, hand in hand, Chloe blocked Ashton's path. "It's over, Ashton," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. "Let her go." "Why did you bring him here?" he asked, his voice tight with anger. "You did this on purpose, didn't you? The person she loves is my uncle, not you," Chloe said, her patience wearing thin. "And don't you dare try to play the victim with me. I know all about what you've been up to. My uncle is a good man, and your father is in jail because he's a criminal, not because my uncle framed him. So, stop your pathetic revenge plot and get a life." His face hardened, the friendly facade crumbling to reveal the cold, calculating man beneath. He turned his fury on his new target, Bianca. He found her at her house and unleashed a torrent of abuse. "You're pathetic. You couldn't even seduce him. What good are you?" "It's not my fault," she screeched back. He's obsessed with her. He wouldn't even touch me. Well, now they're back together. And it's all your fault. But don't worry. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. He pulled a small vial from his pocket and tossed it to her. Here, this is a powerful aphrodisiac, much stronger than the garbage you were using. See if you have what it takes to get the job done this time. He paused, a cruel smile on his face. And I have another job for you, one that will be very, very profitable for you, if you succeed. Her eyes lit up at the mention of money. What is it? I need you to help me take back what is rightfully mine. What are you planning to do? Bianca asked, her voice a mixture of greed and apprehension. I'm going to take back my birthright, Ashton said, his eyes gleaming with a cold, hard ambition. This company, this empire, it should have been my father's. It should be mine. My uncle has no right to it. But how? I have a plan, and you're going to help me. If you do, I'll give you 10 billion. Bianca's eyes widened. 10 billion. It was an astronomical sum, enough to set her up for life, to launch the fashion brand she had always dreamed of. You have 10 minutes to decide, Ashton said, leaning back in his chair, a confident smirk on his face. He knew her weakness. He knew her price. And he was right. The lure of the money was too strong to resist. She was a woman who had tasted wealth and power, and she was desperate to get it back. 12 billion, she said, her voice steady. And I'm in. Ashton let out a short, humorless laugh. You're a greedy one, aren't you? Fine, 12 billion. But you'll do exactly as I say. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, for a woman who was once my grandfather's mistress and my uncle's fiancée, you're surprisingly adaptable. Perhaps you'd like to add nephew's lover to your resume. A flush of shame and anger rose in her cheeks. Don't you dare talk about that. Why not? He taunted. It's the truth, isn't it? But don't worry, I'm not my uncle. I don't judge. In fact, your unique talents could be very useful to me. Once I'm in charge, I'll be sure to reward you. In more ways than one. She looked at him, at the cold, calculating ambition in his eyes, and she saw a reflection of her own ruthless nature. Maximus was a good man, a man of principle. But Ashton was a player, and in this game, she knew it was better to be on the winning side. All right, she said, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face. I'll help you, and I'll be whatever you want me to be. The next day, Ashton and Bianca paid a visit to Maximus's father, a frail old man who spent his days playing chess in the garden. Grandfather, Ashton said, his voice full of false sincerity, I have something I need to show you. He took out his phone and played a video. It was grainy, secretively filmed footage of the old man and Bianca, years ago, entering a hotel room together. The old man's face went pale. How did you get that? I have my sources, Ashton said smoothly. Imagine if Uncle Maximus were to see this. Imagine what it would do to him, to find out that the woman he loved was also sleeping with his own father. It would destroy him. The old man was shaking, his face a mask of terror and shame. He had thought that secret was buried, a ghost from a past he had tried so hard to forget. But Ashton had resurrected it, and now he was using it as a weapon. What do you want? He whispered, his voice trembling. I want what's rightfully mine, Ashton said, his voice turning to steel. I want the company. I want you to make me the CEO. But I've already given it to Maximus. Then take it back. Or I will release this video, and I will tell the world about your sordid little affair. I will tell them how you threatened Bianca, how you manipulated her. I will ruin you, grandfather. I will destroy the legacy you've spent your entire life building. The choice is yours. The old man was trapped. He was a man who valued his reputation, his public image of integrity and honor, above all else. The thought of that image being shattered, of his dirty laundry being aired for the world to see, was more than he could bear. He had no choice but to capitulate. The following Monday, Maximus walked into his office to find his father and Ashton waiting for him. "Dad, what's going on?" "I've called a board meeting," his father said, his voice flat, his eyes avoiding Maximus's gaze. "I'm making some changes to the company's leadership." "What kind of changes?" "Ashton will be taking over as CEO. You'll be transferred to our provincial office, or you can take over as head of the sales department here. It's your choice." Maximus stared at his father, his mind reeling in disbelief. "What? Dad, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this?" "I've given it a lot of thought," his father said, reciting the lines Ashton had clearly fed him. "Your cousin's father is in jail because of you. I feel I owe it to him to give Ashton this opportunity." "That's ridiculous," Maximus exclaimed. "His father is in jail because he's a criminal. This has nothing to do with me. And Ashton, he has no experience. He's not ready to run this company. I've worked my whole life for this, Dad. You can't just take it away from me." "My decision is final," his father said, his voice a cold, distant echo. "The will. I've had it changed. The company is now in Ashton's name." The betrayal was a physical blow, leaving Maximus breathless and reeling. He looked at Ashton, who was standing by the window, a smug, triumphant smile on his face. "I told you, Uncle," Ashton said, his voice dripping with condescension. "I'm just taking back what's mine." Maximus was demoted, stripped of his power and his title, and relegated to the sales department. Ashton moved into the corner office, the new king of the castle. Bianca was there to greet him, a bouquet of flowers in her hand. "Congratulations, my love," she purred, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Now that you're the CEO, I'd like to be your personal assistant." Ashton, however, had other plans. He had no intention of having Bianca underfoot, reminding him of the dirty deeds that had gotten him to the top. "You'll be my woman," he said, his voice smooth as silk. "You'll stay at home, and I'll take care of you. You won't have to work a day in your life." She was disappointed, but she played along, believing his lies, believing that she would one day be his wife, the queen to his king. She had no idea that to him, she was just a pawn, a disposable piece in his game of power. I walked into the office, unaware of the corporate coup that had just taken place. I found Ashton sitting behind Maximus's desk. "Ashton, what are you doing here?" "I work here now," he said with a charming smile. "I'm the new CEO. Your boss, Maximus, has been transferred to the sales department." I stared at him, stunned. "But why?" "Family matters," he said dismissively. "Too complicated to explain. But don't worry. I've already arranged for you to get a raise. 30 million a month. How does that sound?" I was speechless. A raise? Just like that? He was trying to buy my loyalty, my silence. He offered me a chocolate, his go-to move, and for a moment, I was tempted. But then I thought of Maximus, of the pain and betrayal he must be feeling. "Thank you, Ashton," I said, my voice polite but firm. "But I think I'll stay loyal to my previous boss." "I know you're in love with him," he said, his smile never wavering. "And that's fine. You can continue to love him. I'll just be here, in the background, protecting you. I promise, I'll never make things difficult for you." His words were smooth, reassuring, but underneath, I could feel the cold, hard edge of a threat. He was a dangerous man, and I knew I had to be careful. That evening, I went to the sales department to find Maximus. He was packing up his office, his face a grim, stony mask. "Maximus," I said softly, "are you okay?" He didn't look up. "I'm fine. I'm so sorry. I can't believe they did this to you." "Don't be sorry," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "It's not your fault. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or just a regular employee," I said, my voice fierce with a loyalty that surprised even me. "I'll always be by your side." He finally looked at me, and in his eyes I saw a flicker of the old Maximus, the man I had fallen in love with. He pulled me into his arms, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. "Even if I have nothing," he whispered. "Even if you have nothing," I promised. That night, he came to my apartment for dinner. My mother, who had already heard the news, treated him with a warmth and kindness that he hadn't experienced in years. She didn't see a failed CEO. She saw a good man who was hurting, and she welcomed him into our little family with open arms. The next few weeks were a strange, surreal dance. Ashton, in his new role as CEO, was constantly trying to win me over, showering me with gifts and attention, all while maintaining his friendly, non-threatening facade. I, in turn, was trying to support Maximus, who was struggling to adapt to his new, diminished role. And Bianca, scorned and discarded by Ashton, was a volatile, unpredictable presence, always lurking in the shadows, waiting for her chance to strike. Ashton, in an attempt to get me alone, away from the watchful eyes of Maximus, arranged a business trip to Ha Long Bay. He told me it was a day trip, a simple meeting with a client, but I knew, with a sinking feeling in my gut, that he was lying. "I have to go to Ha Long Bay for a client meeting," I told Maximus, trying to sound casual. "I'll be back tonight. You can pick me up." "Okay, my love," he said, kissing me goodbye, completely unaware of the danger I was walking into. That afternoon, Bianca, her face a mask of righteous fury, stormed into the sales department. "Maximus!" she shrieked, her voice echoing through the open plan office. "Are you just going to sit there while Ashton takes your girlfriend on a 2-day trip to Ha Long Bay? Are you that pathetic?" Maximus looked up, a frown creasing his forehead. "What are you talking about? It's a day trip." "That's what he told her," Bianca sneered. "But I know the truth. He's been planning this for weeks. He's not going for business, Maximus. He's going to seduce her. And a man as manipulative as Ashton, he always gets what he wants." A cold dread washed over Maximus. He knew Ashton. He knew what he was capable of. He tried to call me, but my phone was off. Ashton had accidentally knocked it into a puddle as we were getting into the car. He tried calling Ashton, but he didn't answer. He was well and truly off the grid, alone with a man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. Maximus didn't hesitate. He grabbed his car keys and ran out of the office, his heart pounding with a single, terrifying thought. I have to get to her. I have to save her. The drive to Ha Long Bay was a 4-hour torture chamber of anxiety for Maximus. Every minute that ticked by felt like an eternity. He pushed the car to its limit, weaving through traffic, his mind a relentless slideshow of worst-case scenarios. Then, disaster struck. A multi-car pileup on the highway brought traffic to a dead standstill. He was trapped, miles from his destination, powerless to do anything but watch the clock and pray. Meanwhile, Ashton and I had finished our client meeting. As we were leaving, he turned to me with a casual smile. "By the way," he said, "I just got a call. We have another meeting tomorrow morning with a different company. We'll have to stay the night." "What?" I said, a sense of unease washing over me. But I didn't pack anything, and I told Maximus I'd be home tonight. "Don't worry," he said smoothly. "We'll go shopping. You can buy whatever you need." As for Maximus, my phone seems to have died. and you don't have yours. I guess he'll just have to wait. His excuses were too convenient, his smile a little too bright. I knew, with a sickening certainty, that this was a trap. We arrived at the hotel, a luxurious resort by the sea, only to be told that there was only one room available. It's peak season, Ashton said with a helpless shrug. Everywhere is fully booked. We'll have to share. But don't worry, I'll take the sofa. You can have the bed. I was cornered, with no phone, no way to contact the outside world, and no choice but to agree. As we walked into the palatial suite, I felt a shiver of dread run down my spine. Ashton, I realized, was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I was trapped in his den. He was the perfect gentleman, at first. He ordered room service, a lavish spread of all my favorite foods. He poured me a glass of apple juice, his smile never wavering. I was so caught up in my own anxiety that I didn't notice the faint, powdery residue at the bottom of the glass. I drank the juice, and within minutes, a strange, unfamiliar heat began to spread through my body. It was a dizzying, disorienting sensation, a fire in my veins that I couldn't control, and it was terrifyingly familiar. It was the same feeling I'd had the night Victoria had drugged me. I looked at Ashton, at the triumphant, predatory gleam in his eyes, and I knew he had drugged me. He saw the realization, the panic, dawning on my face. "Feeling a little warm, Brooklyn?" he asked, his voice a low, seductive purr. I had to get out of there. But my mind was cloudy, my limbs heavy. I had to think fast. I had to play his game. I stumbled towards him, my body swaying. I grabbed his hand, my touch deliberately unsteady. "Ashton," I slurred, my voice a breathy whisper. "I'm so hot, I want some ice cream." He chuckled, a low, guttural sound. "Is that all you want?" he asked, pulling me closer. "No," I whispered, forcing myself to meet his gaze. I want you to go out and buy me some ice cream, and some condoms." His eyes widened, a look of pure, unadulterated lust on his face. He had thought he would have to force me, to take me against my will. But this was so much better. "Wait here," he said, his voice thick with desire. "I'll be back in 5 minutes." The moment the door clicked shut behind him, I sprang into action. I ran out of the suite, my bare feet slapping against the cool marble of the hallway. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to run. I stumbled out of the hotel and onto the street. The cool night air a welcome shock to my overheated skin. The world was a dizzying, tilting blur. I was losing control, the drug pulling me under. I fell, my knees scraping against the pavement, and as I lay there, dizzy and disoriented, I whispered his name, Maximus. "Please, save me." And then, like an answer to a prayer, a pair of strong arms were around me, lifting me up. A familiar voice, rough with worry, was in my ear. "Brooklyn, I'm here. I've got you." It was Maximus. He had finally made it. He carried me to his car, his face a grim, stony mask. "What did he do to you?" he asked, his voice a low growl. "He drugged me," I whispered, my body shaking with a mixture of relief and reaction. I feel so sick." He didn't need to hear any more. He knew what he had to do. He pulled the car over, and in the darkness, on a deserted stretch of road by the sea, he took me in his arms and made love to me, his touch a gentle, healing balm on my violated senses, his passion a fierce, protective shield against the darkness that had almost consumed me. The next morning, we drove back to the city in a comfortable, contented silence. He took me home, and after making sure I was okay, he went straight to the office. He found Ashton in his new corner office, looking smug and self-satisfied. Maximus didn't say a word. He just walked up to him and punched him in the face. Ashton staggered back, blood pouring from his nose. "What the hell was that for?" "You know what it was for," Maximus snarled, his voice trembling with a rage he could barely control. "You're a monster, Ashton. A pathetic, cowardly monster, and you're going to pay for what you did." He lunged at him again, and it was only the intervention of several employees that stopped him from committing murder right there in the CEO's office. Later that day, a furious Bianca stormed into Ashton's office. "You're a coward," she shrieked. "You drugged her, and for what?" She still got away, and now Maximus is back, and he's more in love with her than ever. "You're a failure, Ashton. A complete and utter failure." Their partnership, built on a foundation of greed and deceit, had crumbled into a flurry of bitter, ugly recriminations. The battle lines had been drawn, and I knew, with a chilling certainty, that this was far from over. Ashton and Bianca were not the kind of people who accepted defeat gracefully. They would be back, and they would be looking for revenge. That evening, Chloe found Ashton at his apartment, a bag of ice pressed to his swollen, bruised face. "You're a disgrace," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "I can't believe we're related." She kicked him, hard, in the ribs. He grunted in pain, curling into a ball on the floor. "You tried to rape her," she said, her voice shaking with a cold, hard fury. "You're lucky Maximus got to you first, because if I had been there, I would have killed you." He looked up at her, his face a mask of pain, and, for the first time, a flicker of something that looked like remorse. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I was wrong." Chloe dragged him to Maximus's apartment, where I was staying. We were sitting on the sofa, a comfortable silence between us, when the doorbell rang. When I saw Ashton, my first instinct was to slam the door in his face, but Chloe pushed past me, dragging him into the living room. "He has something to say," she announced. Ashton stood before us, his head bowed in shame. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely audible. I was angry about my father. I blamed you, Uncle, and I took it out on Brooklyn. It was a terrible, unforgivable thing to do, and I will spend the rest of my life regretting it." Maximus, who had been on the verge of throwing him out, paused. He saw the genuine remorse in his nephew's eyes, and his anger began to subside, replaced by a weary, reluctant pity. "You're going back to Paris," he said, his voice firm. "You're going to finish the project you're working on there, and you're going to stay there until I say you can come back." "I know," Ashton said, nodding. I've already handed in my resignation. The company. It's yours, Uncle. It always should have been." And just like that, the war was over. Ashton, humbled and defeated, returned to Paris. He handed the company back to Maximus, and a sense of order was restored. We had won, but the victory felt hollow. The scars of the battle, I knew, would take a long time to heal. With Ashton gone, a fragile peace settled over our lives. Maximus was reinstated as CEO, and he and I fell into a comfortable, happy routine. He was a surprisingly domestic man, a talented cook who took great pleasure in making me dinner, a gentle, attentive lover who made me feel cherished and safe. One evening, he got a call from his father. "Maximus, can you come home for dinner tonight? There's something I need to talk to you about." He hadn't spoken to his father in months, not since the betrayal, but there was a note of pleading in the old man's voice that he couldn't ignore. He found his father in the kitchen, a place he had rarely seen him, awkwardly trying to cook. "Dad, what's going on?" I wanted to make you dinner," his father said, his voice gruff with an emotion Maximus couldn't quite place. To apologize. They sat at the large, formal dining table, the silence between them thick with unspoken words. "I'm sorry, son," his father finally said, his voice cracking. I've been a fool. A proud, selfish old fool. I was wrong. What I did to you, to Bianca, it was unforgivable. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway." Maximus looked at his father, at the deep lines of regret etched on his face, and he felt his own anger, the anger he had been carrying for so long, begin to melt away. "I forgive you, Dad," he said, his voice thick with an emotion he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. "Thank you, son," his father said, tears welling in his eyes. "Thank you." He cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure. "Now, tell me about this girlfriend of yours. It's time you settled down. I'm not getting any younger, you know. I want to see my grandchildren before I die." Maximus just laughed, a sound of pure, unadulterated happiness. "Soon, Dad, I promise." But while our lives were settling into a happy, peaceful rhythm, Bianca was spiraling into a dark, obsessive madness. She had lost everything. Maximus was gone. Ashton had discarded her, and she was alone, with nothing but her bitterness and her rage to keep her company. And she directed all of that venomous, toxic energy at one person, me. I was the one who had taken Maximus from her. I was the one who had ruined her life, and I was the one who was going to pay. She began to stalk Ashton, waiting for him outside his apartment, her eyes burning with a cold, hard hatred. One night, as he was returning home, she confronted him. "Ashton," she said, her voice a low, desperate hiss. "I miss you so much. Bianca." "Leave me alone," he said, his voice weary. "It's over. Don't you remember how good we were together? I remember that you're a greedy, manipulative woman who used my uncle, my grandfather, and me to get what you wanted. I know everything, Bianca. I know you were sleeping with my grandfather. I know you lied about your father being dead. You're a pathetic, disgusting excuse for a human being." Her face contorted with rage. "You used me. You all used me. You want money, is that it?" he said, pulling out his checkbook. "Fine. How much? $1 billion. Will that make you go away?" "Okay," she said, a strange, chilling calm settling over her. "Transfer the money." He transferred the money to her account, a foolish, naive attempt to buy his freedom. But Bianca wasn't interested in money anymore. She was interested in revenge. As he turned to walk away, she pulled a knife from her purse and plunged it into his stomach. "That's for using me," she hissed, her eyes wild with a crazed, triumphant madness. "Now you can die." She left him there, bleeding, on the pavement. But fate, it seemed, had a different plan. A couple out for a late-night jog found him, and he was rushed to the hospital, where, after hours of surgery, his life was saved. The next morning, Bianca was arrested at the airport, trying to flee the country. She was charged with attempted murder. Her reign of terror finally over. She would spend the rest of her life paying for her crimes, a prisoner of her own destructive obsession. A year later, Maximus and I were married. It was a small, simple ceremony, with just our closest friends and family. My mother was there, her leg fully healed, her face glowing with a happiness I hadn't seen in years. Chloe was my maid of honor, and Maximus's father was his best man. Ashton, now recovered, ran his successful restaurant business in Paris, occasionally flying back to Vietnam to visit. 2 years after we had left, my mother and I returned to my grandfather's manor. The house was a shadow of its former self, The once manicured gardens now overgrown and wild. The once gleaming windows now dull with a film of dust and neglect. After Victoria and Caleb were sent to prison, my grandfather's company had collapsed. The scandal and the subsequent investigation, revealing a web of corruption and deceit that had brought the entire empire crashing down. He had lost everything. We found him and Victoria's mother living in the cavernous, empty house, all of their expensive furniture and artwork having been repossessed. They were old and frail and broken, and when they saw us, they wept. Tears of shame, of regret, of a sorrow that was too deep for words. And in that moment, looking at the ruins of their lives, I felt nothing. No anger, no resentment, no desire for revenge, just a quiet, weary pity. The past was the past. It was time to let it go. I had my own life now, a life filled with love and laughter and the promise of a bright, happy future. I had my mother, safe and happy by my side. I had my husband, a good, kind man who loved me more than life itself. And soon I would have our daughter, a tiny, perfect symbol of our love, a new beginning, a clean slate. The ghosts of the past had finally been laid to rest, and I was finally, truly free.